Chapter 1220. The court is now in session. While banging the gavel, the long-bearded old man turned his gaze towards the pixies. "Who's going to record the trial?" A tall pixie replied, "I'll do it. Do you know what to do?" The long-bearded old man asked. "Of course, I know how to write 596 different languages, 328 of which I've won an award," the tall pixie replied. The long-bearded old man nodded. "Very well. Then do you know what rules you need to follow as a court clerk?" "Of course. I'll report it to you right now." The tall pixie was already prepared and swung the short stick in his hand. Poof! A large green book with several thousand pages appeared in front of everyone. This book silently hovered in the air, thicker than any of the pixies. The tall pixie cleared his throat, flipped to the first page of the green book, and began to read the words on it. A court clerk, mainly responsible for recording the proceedings of the tribunal, as well as handling supporting matters related to the trial, such as preparing for the trial, keeping evidence, organizing files, processing documents. He continued to ramble on. The long-bearded old man yawned, laid down on the table, and prepared to take a nap. The past king shouted, "What's going on? Aren't we supposed to interrogate it?" The long-bearded old man pulled out a colorful blanket from somewhere and covered himself with it, explaining, "This gavel of ours is only used to judge, not to kill. To kill, we need something else, but that thing probably wouldn't be able to kill such a powerful divinity." The past kings froze, then couldn't help but ask, "Then wouldn't this trial be meaningless?" "How would it be meaningless?" The long-bearded old man glared at him and said, "Once the gavel falls, it won't be able to escape, nor will it be able to kill anyone. It will only be trapped here. Once Gu Qing Shan's battle is over, it will still be trapped here, unable to move. We'll deal with it at that time." The past kings remained silent for a bit, then continued, "How long can this trial last?" The old man pointed at the tall pixie who was reading from the book and replied, "Once he finishes reading this green book of rules and regulations for court clerks, it will take about 2 hours, so we can only drag it out for 2 hours?" "Of course no." The long-bearded old man smirked and proudly shook his head. "A court hearing requires the presiding judge, the court clerk, the judge, the jury, the bailiff, the plaintiff's defense, the defendant's defense, the prosecutor, the witness, the audience, and so on. Each and every one of them has to come up and read." The past kings were stunned. He looked around and saw that many pixies had thick green books in front of them. The past kings continued, "That's why. When these people finish reading," the long-bearded old man continued, "after everyone has finished reading, of course it will be the trial. Regarding the trial, everyone can express their own opinions, and it won't be a problem until the end of the world." The previous kings were stunned for a moment before they murmured, "No wonder they say that fairies are hard to deal with." The god of life, who was originally listening quietly, began to struggle madly. It released countless black tentacles, waving all kinds of spells in all directions. But it was no use. No matter what he did, he was unable to leave the void. It was exiled to another void world, unable to move or leave, and could only wait for the trial to end. After realizing this, the god of life suddenly laughed maniacally and shouted, "Do you really think mortals can defeat gods? How laughable! When the soul shrieker and magic dragon kill that mortal, it will be time for all of you to die. At that time, I will devour every single one of you." Silence reigned. No one paid any attention to him. The long-bearded old man had already crawled under his blanket and was snoring away. The other pixies all began to play around in the void, holding banquets, garden parties, concerts, and even some pixies were preparing for their wedding. Only the tall pixie remained standing there, sneaking glances at his playful companions while muttering with a bitter expression, "Ah, about that, the second rule, you are mainly responsible for organizing the case's materials, binding the case files, as well as other related tasks." At another location, the world of the Spire. This was the headquarters of the Spire Keeper Association, filled with countless knowledge and secret techniques. It was vast and boundless, roughly the size of 7 to 8 normal worlds. The faint sounds of fighting and shouting could be heard, as well as the fluctuations of countless spells carried by the wind. In this world, the stabilizing techniques that the wizards of the spire had set up were slowly being broken. The footsteps of destruction were approaching. An era was about to end. Boom! At the end of the horizon, the spire of knowledge that connected heaven and earth abruptly broke apart and slowly collapsed. The earth trembled. Countless specks of dust were kicked into the air following the fall of the spire, drifting all over the place. At the same time, at the farthest corner of the world, black fog descended from above. A ship appeared from within the fog. Following that, countless professionists descended. They were densely packed, surrounding the ship and filling up the ground. Everyone exchanged glances. Where are we now? Weren't we supposed to fight against chaos? What should we do now? The ship opened. Boss, Bali, Anna, and the rest flew out and stood on the ship. Anna carried a long-handled scythe that was burning in black flames on her shoulder and looked at everyone. Everyone, listen to me. We have returned to the moment of the spire's destruction. The battle will soon begin. Please prepare yourselves. The people who followed the 3 coins to this world were all stirred up. The moment of the spire's destruction. The moment of Lady Black Sea's death. One professionist couldn't help but ask, what should we do now? Save the spire? Or save Lady Black Sea? All of a sudden, a high-pitched female voice resounded from afar. Living beings created by the gods, you know nothing of despair, a frenzied male voice followed. Your only value is the nutrients contained within your souls. A high-decibel chant erupted from both the male and female voices at the same time. Souls! Offer your souls to me. Ah, everyone's expression changed. This was the deity of chaos's invincible technique, capable of absorbing the souls of all living beings. It's fine, the girl loudly called out. She placed a 7-colored shield in front of herself and activated its power. The shield gave off a blinding light that enveloped everyone within. The Sage Protector, Soul Protection Barrier. Amidst the piercing howl that pierced through the entire world, everyone was unharmed. The professionists all cheered. Unbelievable, I'm still alive. I'm most afraid of this technique. There's no way around it. If I can stop the soul absorption, I'm willing to fight against it until the very last moment. That's great. With a treasure that could stop the soul absorption, the greatest fear in everyone's mind was dispelled. While everyone was cheering, the piercing howl suddenly stopped. A sea of blue radiance swept over from the distant horizon. The man and woman's shrill screams stopped, and then they roared furiously. Who? Who dared to interrupt my meal? A female voice sighed from the boundless void of space. Lady Black Sea. At the moment when everyone on the battlefield was about to die, she appeared. This is the moment. Anna tightly held the 7-colored shield in her hand and loudly declared, Everyone, charge! We're going to save Lady Black Sea. Everyone loudly responded. The current soul shrieker still hadn't achieved apotheosis, so it wasn't as strong as it was during the era of chaos. Its strongest soul absorption technique was countered by the shield, so this was indeed the best chance to kill it. With that in mind, the professionist's fighting spirit surged from their bodies. It's time for revenge, someone muttered. Kill it. It's the source of the calamity. Let's go. With the airship in front, the professionists followed closely behind. The soldiers who came from the future were flying towards the battlefield at full speed. Meow stood on the airship with a hesitant expression. Will this work? I'm still a bit worried. Anna tightly held the 7-colored shield in her hand and replied, Don't worry. Everything is going according to Gu Qing Shan's calculations. There shouldn't be any issues, Boss also said. There's already a soul shrieker on the battlefield, so the soul shrieker from our era wouldn't dare to show up. Because as soon as it does, the law of time would immediately erase one of them to ensure that the entire timeline and events of history wouldn't be altered, Zhang Yongho also said. That's right, the deity of chaos wouldn't dare to show up on the battlefield, unless it's willing to take a gamble and see which one of them will survive. The group quickly entered the battlefield. The soul shrieker was standing still. In front of it, within the boundless blue light, a woman's figure could be faintly seen. The woman sighed. Today I will die, but not by being eaten by you, wait. Lady Black Sea, We've come to help you, Jang Young-ho shouted. Lady Black Sea abruptly turned around. The self-destructive power on her body had been temporarily suppressed. You are... Lady Black Sea looked at the professionist in the sky and hesitantly asked. Anna raised the seven-colored shield in her hand and loudly declared, Lady Black Sea, we have a way to stop its soul-sucking ability. Both Lady Black Sea and the Soul Shrieker's gazes turned towards the shield. The Soul Shrieker suddenly displayed a strange expression. Its male voice spoke. So there really were people who returned from time travel this time, its female voice replied. Staying here will only hinder my future self and prevent the era of chaos from completing the final piece of the puzzle, the male voice continued. In accordance with the information we sent earlier, the battlefield will be left to my future self, the female voice replied. Indeed, let's go. The Soul Shrieker waved its hand to open a gate of light and slowly entered. The gate of light slowly faded away. Its figure didn't reappear. It really left. Everyone froze. All of a sudden, the sky was shrouded by a layer of black fog. Within the vortex of black fog, two gigantic figures slowly became clear. In the blink of an eye, they descended from above and landed in front of everyone. The Soul Shrieker. Magic Dragon. The Soul Shrieker took a step forward and spoke with its high-pitched female voice. You dare to use such childish tricks to stop this deity. The boundless power of chaos continued to rise from its body. The void tide, created by this great power alone, was enough to send quite a few people flying. Everyone's hearts sank. The Soul Shrieker looked at everyone with a mocking expression. It shouted with its tyrannical male voice. Today, all of you shall remain here. No one shall escape the fate of death. Chapter 12:21. Today, all of you will die here. Saying so, the Soul Shrieker's presence continued to rise and quickly reached its peak. It had become completely serious, preparing to fight to the death against the final order. All of a sudden, a voice resounded from the ship. Perhaps one of you won't die. Gu Qing Shan jumped out from the ship and stood in midair. The Soul Shrieker froze. It looked at Gu Qing Shan, then at the ship with a doubtful expression. Gu Qing Shan smiled and replied, I've understood one thing. The reason why you were able to find me was because you knew that I would come here to save Lady Black Sea. 3 coins suddenly appeared in his hand. Then, if I abandoned the Demon King order and used the power of the 3 coins to find a random time to hide, you would never be able to find me. Boundless black fog erupted from the 3 coins and slowly enveloped Gu Qing Shan. The Soul Shrieker stared closely at him and spoke. I don't believe that you would abandon these people, abandon the order, and escape by yourself. I know you. You have never been such a person, Gu Qing Shan casually replied. In the path of time, you and I are nothing more than ants standing in front of the train of fate. When the apocalypse approaches us, if we don't want to die a horrible death, we must change ourselves. The black fog became thicker and thicker, completely enveloping him. His cold and merciless voice resounded from within the fog. You can do whatever you want with these people. I'll also leave the order. Here, I'll be leaving. The Soul Shrieker and Magic Dragon exchanged glances. Magic Dragon couldn't help but ask, Where are you going? I haven't thought about it yet. Perhaps the prehistoric era, or the age of old, or one of the more stable eras in the river of time. Gu Qing Shan's voice carried a sense of relief. I won't tell you where I am, but I have to tell you, you will never be able to find me. The Soul Shrieker paused briefly, then spoke in a low voice. How laughable. And here I thought of you as an enemy that I had to take seriously. Who could have known that you'd become a piece of trash who leads a befuddled life? This god is the founder of the era of chaos, the true master of this era. I don't have the time to search for an ant in the river of time. Scram, the further the better. The Soul Shrieker's gaze moved away from Gu Qing Shan and focused on a ship. It felt, that can't be right. I don't believe that he would do such a thing. Magic Dragon gave the Soul Shrieker a glance, then spoke with a doubtful tone. Gu Qing Shan, this must be one of your schemes, isn't it? No, Gu Qing Shan answered. The 3 coins suddenly unleashed their power. The black mist wrapped around Gu Qing Shan, and abruptly shot up into the sky, quickly disappearing from the current flow of time. He really left. He ran away. Let's chase. The demon dragon took out the 3 coins and shouted. No need, the soul shrieker calmly replied. Magic Dragon hurriedly said, those pieces of trash on the other side can be easily killed. We need to quickly chase after him. Otherwise, he'll truly escape. The soul shrieker stood still. I am the envoy of chaos, the master of the era. I can clearly sense a certain thing. The soul shrieker displayed a complicated expression and slowly spoke. The final order of the 900 million world layers, World Apocalypse Online, Demon King Order, have been left behind by Gu Shan on the ship All of Chaos, are cheering, urging, and holding their breaths as they wait for me to complete the final step. But Gu Shan's traces are about to disappear. Magic Dragon shouted. The Soul Shrieker coldly replied, so what? Magic Dragon froze. The Soul Shrieker continued. He left behind an order. Do you understand? He gave up everything, became a piece of trash, and was about to be abandoned by the era. Rather than letting such a person become a stepping stone for the era, it would be better to let him live out his life without any achievements, because he is no longer worthy of dying in my hands. Magic Dragon didn't believe it and asked, the final order is inside the ship? Isn't this a trap? The Soul Shrieker pointed at the ship and spoke without any hesitation. It is not a trap. All of the chaos and the void have proven this to me. There is no mistake. The Soul Shrieker displayed a frenzied expression and muttered, this is the final order. As long as I destroy it, everything will be over. Its body moved and abruptly leapt towards the ship. Magic Dragon watched as the Soul Shrieker flew away with an expression of struggle in his eyes. Regardless of whether Gu Shan had truly given up on resisting or if he was plotting something, he had indeed left this timeline. If I don't pursue him now, I won't be able to. This person will completely disappear from the 900 million world layers, hiding in a certain era, a certain world, and no one will ever be able to find him again. No, definitely not. Magic Dragon opened his palm and tossed the 3 coins into the air. The black fog began to spread and completely enveloped him in just a few seconds. The fog moved. The black dragon flew to the sky. He was chasing after Gu Shan. The Soul Shrieker ignored this and continued to walk in front of the ship. Final carrier of order, will you come out yourself? Or do you want me to invite you out? The Soul Shrieker asked. The door of the ship opened again. Bali walked out. The Soul Shrieker stared at him and spoke in a hoarse voice. Indeed, this is the final order, as well as the carrier of order. Its entire body was trembling from excitement. After countless years, this moment had finally arrived. Even an entity of its level couldn't contain its excitement. Bali stood on the deck of the ship, lit a cigarette, took a deep drag, and exhaled a ring of smoke. His gaze met with the Soul Shrieker's. I heard that after you kill me, the era of chaos will fully descend. Bali asked. Magic Dragon was flying through the endless fog. Using the power of the 3 coins, he once again arrived above the river of time to search for Gu Shan's traces. Fortunately, Gu Shan hadn't left for too long, so there were always faint traces of her presence within the ripples of space-time that allowed him to determine her whereabouts. Magic Dragon sped up. Fly. Full speed. Fly. Until a certain moment, he abruptly stopped and focused his gaze on the faint fog in front of him. Gu Shan appeared from the fog. I've already given up on order and everything else, so why are you still chasing after me? Is there something else you want from me? He asked in irritation. Magic Dragon silently looked at him and muttered. That's right. I can sense it. There's no mistaking it. It's you. What are you talking about? Gu Shan asked. Magic Dragon replied. Back on the Gemini star, I sense that power from you. What kind of power? The power that originated from my own body. Magic Dragon took out a pair of gauntlets and slowly put them on his hands, then continued. At the time, I thought that I sensed wrong. After all, how could there be 2 individuals with the same level of power as Magic Dragon in the same space-time? During the War of the Age of Old, you appeared at the very last moment and controlled the Soul Shrieker to kill me. But at the time, I had already transformed into my abyssal form, so I couldn't die. So the Soul Shrieker only managed to kill me until I fell into slumber. Because of that, although it killed me, it didn't obtain my power. No one can steal the power of this bygone Aerith Super Soul artifact from me. Magic Dragon put on the gauntlets and lightly swung them a few times. Ho! Intense gray flames radiated from the gauntlets. Guqin Shan, you have the power of the other Magic Dragon. This is unimaginable. For this reason, I personally made a trip to the Bramble Bird Kingdom. Only to be defeated by you, I followed the Abyssal King, became your servant, and silently observed you. I thought, but I couldn't understand why you would have the same power as me later on. When I recalled the twin swords Heaven and Earth, I finally understood. You killed the other me in the parallel world fragment of the Age of Old. The other me must still be slumbering in the abyssal jail. Unable to fully transform into my abyssal form, you obtain the power of the other me. That must be it. Boom! Boundless killing intent radiated from Magic Dragon's body. In a grayish-white fog, it stretched its muscles and bones, making the final preparations to kill its opponent. Guqin Shan smiled and replied, "No wonder people say that spies are all very smart. That's right, I did obtain the power of the sleeping Magic Dragon. Not only that, you also killed an Azure Dragon not too long ago," Magic Dragon continued. This time, Guqin Shan was a bit surprised. "Ah, you knew that and still dared to kill me?" he asked. Magic Dragon's lips curled up and spoke full of mockery. "Stop pretending. Guqin Shan, you purposely led me here. Wasn't it because you desired the power of the Magic Dragon that I carry? Between the two of us, the one who survives will obtain the other's power. Just as I said back in the Bramblebird Kingdom, there's only a single Magic Dragon in this world. There's only one person who can use the power of the Magic Dragon's bloodline to devour the power of living beings, and that is me." The two figures suddenly flashed, turned into gigantic black shadows, and disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the two dragon-shaped black shadows passed through the vast distance and crashed into each other. Boom! An invisible shockwave spread. The black fog was scattered by the impact of the two black dragons' collision, disappearing without a trace like a gust of wind. The dragons were scattered. Both of them were sent flying backwards. Guqin Shan was sent flying several dozen meters away, coughing up blood with a puff. Magic Dragon took 2 steps back and stood still. He swung his fist to get rid of all the blood on it. "I received information that you once killed an Azure Dragon, but the combined power of the sleeping Magic Dragon and the Azure Dragon is only at this level." Magic Dragon was a bit disappointed. Guqin Shan looked at Magic Dragon in disbelief, only to see that Magic Dragon was wearing a Yaksham mask. Wraith Realm. Indeed, Magic Dragon was a spy of the Wraith Realm, hiding for over 10,000 years until now. Compared to the sleeping Magic Dragon of the past, the current him was unimaginably powerful. Magic Dragon's eyes were hidden behind the mask, his body completely silent. He carried the power of the Magic Dragon, as well as the power of the Wraith Realm, so he wasn't easy to deal with. Magic Dragon suddenly said, "Now that I mention it, Guqin Shan, I really have to thank you for your scheme." "Pa, you're thanking me with such an attack?" Guqin Shan asked. Magic Dragon shook his head, his voice resounding from behind the mask. "I don't know why the God of Life didn't come with me, but the strategy you used to separate me from the Soul Shrieker is truly worthy of praise. If you still carried the order on you, then the one to kill you wouldn't have been me, but the Soul Shrieker, because it had to kill you in order to end the order. This was the agreement between our Wraith Realm and it, and I couldn't go against it at this point." Magic Dragon paused, then continued full of regret. "However, Guqin Shan, you were blinded by your greed and forgot something. What is it?" Guqin Shan wiped the blood from her mouth and asked. "You forgot. In the face of absolute power, schemes are useless," Magic Dragon casually replied. Black fog once again manifested from his body, slowly changing into the shape of a black dragon. His killing intent boiled. With his next attack, he wanted to kill Guqin Shan and steal the power of the two dragons from her. Guqin Shan was still thinking about the collision just now and muttered, "You're very strong right now, But I'm only 20 to 30% weaker than you, Magic Dragon smirked. 10% of my strength is enough to decide the outcome of the battle, let alone 30%. Gu Shan, you're too smart for your own good. I'll kill you today and turn you into my power. Gu Shan went silent for a brief moment. In the face of absolute power, schemes are useless. I agree with this statement, he slowly said. As soon as he said so, an autumn water clear blue sword flew out from the void of space behind him and turned into a cold and beautiful woman. Shanu. Her body turned into Gu Shan's appearance. Gongzi, can I turn into a dragon later? She asked excitedly. Of course. Chapter 1222. The River of Time. This was the River of Time in history. Every second, various events would drift along with the flow of the river, causing the fates of countless living beings to intertwine with one another. Amidst this chaotic and orderly intertwining, the entire era slowly moved forward. Everything was originally peaceful, but now 3 black dragons were fighting and killing each other on the river. Gu Shan, you can't kill me. Magic Dragon roared as he ran. He had thought that he had Gu Shan under his control, but his sword was able to exert the same power as him. This was equivalent to me fighting 2 slumbering magic dragon and 2 azure dragons by myself. Behind him, the 2 black dragons were in hot pursuit. One of the black dragons abruptly stopped. Divine skill, shadow shift. In a split second, he switched places with Magic Dragon. The other black dragon had been preparing for a long time, so as soon as Magic Dragon appeared, he immediately unleashed a pillar of grayish-white flames towards Magic Dragon. Before Magic Dragon could react, he was completely engulfed by the grayish-white flames and rolled about in the void of space. Magic Dragon ignored the grayish-white flames on his body and tried to flee towards the River of Time. He didn't forget to run. For dragons, how am I supposed to fight them? Run, run. No matter where, no matter what, I need to run first. But things didn't go as he had hoped. After the Magic Dragon switched places with him, he immediately turned around and sped up. While the black dragon was flying, a humanoid silhouette with a snake's body slowly manifested on his body. As soon as this silhouette appeared, it gave off a sense of vicissitudes and ancientness. As soon as Magic Dragon was engulfed by the flames, he had already charged head-on towards Magic Dragon. The bodies of dragons were already incredibly tough, not to mention a super soul artifact like the Magic Dragon's body, so clashing shouldn't cause too much damage. But this time, the situation was different. Divine skill, unbreakable mountain range. The 2 dragon-shaped silhouettes clashed. Boom! The Magic Dragon was knocked into a daze, but the 2 black dragons did not look at the result of the battle at all, and once again launched the space magic skill. Shadow shift. The black dragon that was charging at full force suddenly disappeared. The fire-breathing black dragon replaced it and appeared in front of the Magic Dragon, turning into Shanu. Shanu clenched her fist, circulated all the dragon chi in her body, and punched forward. Heavens collapse. Not too far behind Shanu, another black dragon turned into Gu Shan. With a sword in each hand, Gu Shan used ground shrink and instantly appeared in front of the rolling Magic Dragon. The long sword continued to slash. Gu Shan and Shanu's attacks alternated and connected like a storm, not giving Magic Dragon a single chance to breathe. Magic Dragon turned back into his human form and shouted, "Wait!" He waved his sword. The Earth Sword let out a cacophony of clashing noises. The Chowing Sword was covered in a layer of frost. The frost and flames intertwined, completely enveloping Magic Dragon. All of Magic Dragon's attacks were sealed. His body was also frozen in place. The next strike, the Azura Deific King's skill, Sun Moon Eclipse. The current Gu Shan had perfectly absorbed the power of the 2 dragons and turned it into his own, so his strength was no longer the same as before. Because of that, before his sun-moon eclipse could even be unleashed, numerous supernatural phenomena had already manifested around him. The moon in the void of space, like an eclipse, entered Gu Shan's body, turned into boundless sword chi and manifested into a single-mind sword in his mind. Magic Dragon couldn't move at all. Without even using the mask's power, he was already at the end of his rope. He never thought he would be defeated to this extent. Gu Qingshan also didn't think he would have already grown to this level. In his long years of cultivation and battle experience, it was very rare for him to be able to overwhelm someone with brute force. But in Heaven Pillar World, he had obtained the highest cultivation scriptures from countless fragmented worlds. During the battle of the divine mountain of Sumeru, he had fully refined the power of the two dragons. And he was a sword cultivator. Even if there was a bit of difference in strength between him and Magic Dragon, he wouldn't be afraid in a real fight. Not to mention, Shanu now had the same level of strength as him. From the looks of it, the outcome had been decided. But the sun-moon eclipse was still flickering in his mind, not unleashing it. Gu Qingshan still felt like something wasn't right. But now that it's come to this, am I supposed to just let Magic Dragon go? Impossible. Shanu flew forward and swung the Six Paths great mountain sword covered in lightning at Magic Dragon's body. Dream Jolt. To avoid any unexpected situations, Shanu once again froze Magic Dragon. Gu Qingshan's gaze became focused. This was the final battle of the 900 million world layers, so it was impossible to just let Magic Dragon go. Even if there were any consequences, they would have to wait until he was dead. An invisible mind sword shot out from his body and struck Magic Dragon's neck. The dragon head was sent flying. At another location, the original location of the Eternal Abyss, the Reality Gate. As time passed, the fate corrosion here was slowly fading away. The Wraith Realm had already taken over this place. Song Wuzhang's figure appeared in the warp formation. He had arrived. A wraith respectfully bowed to him. Sir Tsong, Commander Yu invites you to see her. Tsong Wuzhang appeared contemplative. Ah, I've only just arrived, and she's already in a hurry to humiliate me? The wraith didn't dare to say anything else, and simply maintained his bowing posture, silently waiting. Tsong Wuzhang replied, Very well, she's a wraith mite while I'm a wraith general, so if I don't go see her, I'll only give her an excuse. Lead the way. The wraith then led Tsong Wuzhang through the various military camps under the watchful eyes of the other wraiths and arrived at the central area of this place. While the entire military camp was bustling with activity, this place was the only place that was extremely quiet. Several wraith generals with outstanding military exploits were obediently kneeling on the ground, not daring to say a single word. Tsong Wuzhang walked in and glanced at the seat of honor. The woman was wearing a black robe with her back to everyone else, currently reading a scripture. Tsong Wuzhang's lips curled into a mocking smirk, then found a seat and slowly sat down. A few moments later, the woman finally closed the scripture, but still didn't turn around and simply spoke. Sir Tsong, how does it feel to have fallen from a wraith mite to a wraith general? Tsong Wuzhang clenched his fist tightly and suppressed his voice. Thank you for asking, Commander Yu. Everything is fine. I'm here on the orders of the Wraith Lord to... The woman cut him off and said, You may return. Tsong Wuzhang froze. He suddenly stood up with a cruel grin and clasped his fist towards the void of space. Very well. I shall return and report to the Wraith Lord that Yu Xiong dared to go against his will. The other Wraith generals also trembled in fear. If they hadn't followed this woman every day and understood her thoughts and methods, they would have already stood up and followed Tsong Wuzhang to report. The Wraith Lords cannot be disobeyed. Even if this woman was stronger than everyone else, even if she was the leader of this campaign, she could not disobey the Wraith Lord's will. Anyone who dared to disobey the Wraith Lord would suffer a fate 10,000 times worse than death. Just as Tsong Wuzhang was about to leave, the woman's voice resounded. Who said I disobeyed the Wraith Lord? Tsong Wuzhang. Oh, Tsong Wuzhang, let me tell you, when you arrived, the Huang Quan Devil King called Gu Qingshan had already been killed by me. Unfortunately, you can't return to your position as a wraith mite for now. You can only listen to my orders and become my dog. Tsong Wuzhang's expression changed and exclaimed in shock. That's impossible. The woman didn't say anything and simply took out a mask and showed it to everyone. As Cang Wuzhong looked over, he saw that the mask depicted a small 5-colored insect using golden light. 1,000 demon eroding insect hex. This is only one of the 2 masks. What does it have to do with killing the Huang Quan Devil King? Cang Wuzhong said. The woman casually replied, "You've always been a schemer and a lucky one. That's how you managed to reach the position of Wraithmite. But today, I'll let you know that the Huang Quan Devil King that you couldn't kill no matter what you tried is nothing compared to a small trap that I casually arranged." Chapter 1223. The dragon head was sent flying. Gu Qingshan didn't feel relieved at all, but the sense of danger in his heart was becoming heavier. He turned his gaze towards the river of time, only to see that it was completely silent without any abnormal activity. Within the void of fog, other than himself and Shanu, there were no other living beings. His heart was beating faster and faster as his spirit sense told him that danger was getting closer and closer. Where exactly is this danger coming from? Gu Qingshan cautiously looked around. "Gongzi, that magic dragon's corpse is about to fall," Shanu reminded him. Gu Qingshan regained his senses and looked at the dragon corpse. Indeed, this was Magic Dragon's corpse, as well as the 3rd dragon I've killed. It wasn't the slumbering dragon, nor was it the abyssal magic dragon. After 10,000 years, it had absorbed so much power that it had surpassed both of them. It belonged to the Wraith realm. Just as you said, in this world, 1 magic dragon is enough. Gu Qingshan looked at the dragon head and muttered. Regardless of what kind of danger it was, the most important thing right now was to absorb power. Clusters of black fog appeared around Gu Qingshan's body. As if they were alive, the black fog quickly flew out and enveloped both the dragon corpse and the dragon head. The power of Magic Dragon's bloodline, activate. This was the power of the bygone era human soul artifact, their greatest masterpiece. Inside the black fog, the dragon corpse slowly disappeared. The magic dragon was assimilating with the black fog, turning into an even darker black hue. His power was being converted. "Come," Gu Qingshan calmly said. All the black fog returned to his body. The powerful and abundant power of Magic Dragon was attacking his thoughts, soul, and body, causing him to feel like he was being sliced by 1,000 knives. Ah! Gu Qingshan lightly scoffed and silently endured this pain. Compared to when he absorbed the power of the 2 dragons, this was nothing at all. As long as I finish this absorption, my power will explode again. While Gu Qingshan was thinking, he suddenly touched his nose. Blood. His hands were covered in blood. Gu Qingshan immediately released her inner sight to observe herself. His eyes, nose, mouth, and ears began to bleed. The spiritual energy in his body was in a mess, and his body was gradually collapsing. A sharp voice resounded in his sea of consciousness. "I've been waiting for this moment. Such a good body. It will soon be mine." Strange, there seemed to be another will in his body. "Who are you?" Gu Qingshan shouted. The voice mocked. "You're about to die? Why do you care who I am?" Gu Qingshan's heart sank. Unexpectedly, there was a trap hidden in Magic Dragon's body. No matter how careful he was, he still fell for it. Lines of glowing text scrolled past the War God UI. When you were converting the power of the Magic Dragon, a parasite worm had already entered your body. This is a top-notch curse. If you don't want to be eaten by it, you have to think of a way quickly. After reading it, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but sigh. Nothing is too strange and impossible to guard against. The characteristics of Magic Dragon's bloodline are clearly only known to me and Magic Dragon. But now, someone was able to take advantage of Magic Dragon's death to directly attack me. It seems that someone had already read through all of Magic Dragon's memories and deduced what happened in the past. This was a cold-blooded and merciless person who hid in the shadows and silently attacked, causing Magic Dragon to take my life as soon as he died. If I was hit by this, no matter how powerful I was, I would still be killed as all of my power would be absorbed. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan didn't hesitate and flipped his body. He turned into a large orange cat. Evil suppressor physique. When you're in the mountain of orange state, all power you absorb from the outside world will be quickly converted into your own power. Eating can make me stronger. Mountain of orange. Instantly, a new line of glowing text appeared on the war god UI, frowny face to eat or to be eaten. This is a matter of life and death. If you are willing to expend a certain amount of soul points, the power of Mountain of Orange will become stronger, giving you a higher chance of eating that goo insect. Gu Qingshan replied without hesitation. I'm willing to expend soul points. An invisible gust of wind drifted around his body and quickly entered it. Several thousand soul points were instantly deducted. Only a few thousand. Gu Qingshan felt relieved. Mountain of Orange had been strengthened. At this point, Shannon noticed something was wrong and flew over, asking worriedly, Gongzi, are you all right? The orange cat shook his head and coldly replied, Meow, 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 meow. There's a guy who wants to eat me. I want to see who's eating who. When Shanu was about to say something, the orange cat suddenly opened his eyes wide and trembled non-stop as if his fur was standing on end. Shanu's heart became tense and hurriedly asked, Gongzi, what's wrong? The orange cat looked at her, then at the river of time below. Meow, 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 meow. There's no time. We need to leave now. A few minutes later, an unknown world. The orange cat was sitting on top of the toilet bowl, with one paw holding his stomach and the other paw holding a roll of toilet paper, his body occasionally trembling. Splash, splash, splash. The orange cat was venting the contents of his stomach. It lifted its tail and pressed hard on the pump wrench. Boom! Splash! This toilet bowl was very powerful, flushing quickly and cleanly. The orange cat finally felt a bit better. He sighed helplessly and looked at the glowing UI in the void of space. Your Mahesvara King Thaumaturgy is a perfect thaumaturgy. Your power of evil suppressor could devour anything in the first place, because you used soul points to strengthen the power of Mountain of Orange. -1000 demon eroding insect goo has been absorbed and digested by you. With a flash of glowing text, a few lines of notification popped up. Attention, please. This insect had absorbed a lot of impure power, so it was too chaotic, causing damage to your orange stomach. You must expel all of the impure garbage in order to end this feeding session. If you stop halfway, those powers might turn you into some extremely disgusting entity. Be extremely careful. The orange cat rubbed his stomach, appearing a bit dejected. Suddenly, the feeling of having a bad stomach ache came again. The orange cat hurriedly sat still and prepared at another location. The Reality Gate, the Wraith Realms camp. As Tsang Wu Zhang stared at the Yiksha mask in the woman's hand, his heart slowly sank. The 1000 demon eroding insect hex. This hex was divided into 2 masks. The main hex hides inside a living being's body, activating as soon as they are eaten to devour all of the predator's power. The secondary hex was the mask in the woman's hand, capable of reassembling the converted power to form new insects with different powers. Extremely disgusting, but it had never failed. Tsang Wu Zhang lowered his head, a bit unable to restrain his anger. The Wraith Lord gave me a quest, saying that as long as I kill the Huang Quan Devil King, I'll have the chance to return to my Wraith Might status. But if this quest is completed before me, I won't be able to obtain such a chance again for a very long time. I'll have no choice but to listen to Rain's orders and follow her orders. Damn it! Tsang Wu Zhang turned to the other Wraith generals and pretended to be calm. Lord Rain, as far as I know, Magic Dragon is your direct subordinate. Aren't you afraid that your subordinates will be disappointed if you plan a hex on him like this and cause him to die without a proper burial? These words were sharp. The Wraith generals all lowered their heads. The black-robed woman still had her back to them as she casually said, Tsang Wu Zhang, you've only just arrived at the front lines and already dared to incite our people and destroy our morale. You've truly grown. Tsang Wu Zhang coldly scoffed. I'm only stating a fact. The black-robed woman's voice became frigid. If your subordinates spent 10,000 years and still couldn't complete the quest you gave them, I'm guessing your methods would be much crueler than mine. Quest? I'd like to know what kind of mission the demon dragon had served so loyally for over 10,000 years that you would kill him instead of rewarding him, Song Wuzhong said. The black-robed woman stayed silent for a bit, then uttered, "The twin swords heaven and earth." Song Wuzhong froze, then slowly shut his mouth. Seeing that he had nothing to say, the black-robed woman suddenly chuckled. She continued, "What's the point of keeping such trash by my side? So right now, I'm simply making use of trash, using trash, and killing trash for trash to see." Song Wuzhong lowered his head, gritting his teeth so hard that even blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth. How dare she? This woman dared to call me trash in front of everyone. I'm going to kill her. Kill her. While he was thinking, a sudden crack could be heard. Everyone turned to look. The mask in the black-robed woman's hand abruptly cracked, crumbled into dust, and vanished into the void of space. Silence. No one dared to speak. "Aha, trash. Lord Rain, it seems your methods aren't all that impressive after all." Song Wuzhong laughed maniacally. "The Huang Quan Devil King isn't dead." Song Wuzhong abruptly stood up and left. "My mission is to kill the Huang Quan Devil King. This was personally ordered by the Wraith Lord. And now, I need to complete this mission. Even you, Rain, have no reason to stop me." Chapter 1224. Song Wuzhong left without looking back. Inside the conference hall, the Wraith generals all lowered their heads, not daring to say a single word. One was a former Wraithmite, the other was a current Wraithmite. These two were never on good terms to begin with, and now that their conflict had been exposed in front of everyone, who knows what would happen next? Facing such a situation, how could the Wraith generals dare to say anything? On the main seat, the black-robed woman put down the scroll in her hand. "Go outside and wait," she casually ordered. "Understood." The Wraith general stood up, bowed, and left. The black-robed woman sat there and thought for a while longer. She remained still like a statue for a long time, then stood up and walked towards the back of the hall. The back of the hall was actually larger and more spacious than the front, with a Wraith statue being worshipped inside. The black-robed woman raised a stick of incense with both hands, inserted it into the incense burner, then knelt down on one knee towards the statue. A few moments later, the stick of incense gave off a spark, causing smoke to fill the air. The entire Wraith statue seemed to have become a lot more spirited. It looked down at the black-robed woman. Seeing that the incense had been lit, the black-robed woman bowed to the statue and said, "This subordinate greets the Wraith Lord." A cold and distant voice resounded from the statue. "What is it?" The black-robed woman replied. "I failed." The voice became a bit stricter and spat out a single word. "Speak," the black-robed woman replied. "I used 1,000 demon eroding insect hex, but it was broken by the Huang Quan Devil King," the statue asked. "That hex was quite decent. How did you fail? Did the Huang Quan Devil King not fall for it?" "Why, I used it on Magic Dragon. The Huang Quan Devil King fell for it, but didn't die," the black-robed woman replied. The Wraith statue paused briefly, then said, "Even Magic Dragon's life was used, but he still wasn't killed." The black-robed woman bowed and said nothing. The Wraith statue slowly continued. "According to your plan, not only did you kill Magic Dragon, you also retrieved his and the Huang Quan Devil King's power and turned it into a new hex. You even completed the mission I gave you, allowing Song Wuzhong to carefully train under you for a while. Your strategy of killing 3 birds with 1 stone was well executed. The only regretful thing was that the Huang Quan Devil King's capabilities far exceeded your expectations." The black-robed woman said, "This subordinate is guilty. Please punish me, Ghost Lord." The statue replied, "It's not your fault. In truth, that Huang Quan Devil King's capabilities also exceeded my expectations for a moment." The black-robed woman's face flashed with surprise. The 3 Wraith Lords were the rulers of the Wraith Realm. They had always been the rulers of the Wraith Realm, but now they were admitting their mistakes right in front of him. It hardly ever happened. The voice carried an exceedingly rare emotion as it continued. "Between the infinite worlds, countless heroes and heroes have thrown themselves into this grand war, vying for the right to survive the apocalypse. So it is normal for us to encounter some obstacles on our way forward. I don't care about the Huang Quan Devil King, because his only fate is death." The malevolent spirit statue paused for a moment, then continued. "Go you. Help me look after Wu Zhang. You have to ensure his safety. For this, you can mobilize as many people as you want." The black-robed woman said hesitantly, "Yes, my lord, but our mission here," the wraith statue replied. "It's fine. The three of us are about to arrive at the front lines." The black-robed woman trembled and muttered in a low voice, "Will the Wraith Lord personally participate in the war?" The wraith statue replied in a low voice, "Indeed, the eternal abyss is about to fall." The black-robed woman joyfully commented, "So the eternal abyss is about to fall?" "Indeed," the wraith statue slowly replied. "I originally wanted Wu Zhang to be tempered in your hands for a while, but now that the eternal abyss is about to be conquered by us, it would be best to quickly return him to the title of Wraith Might." "Understood," the black-robed woman replied. The wraith statue continued, "Go yourself, bring enough people with you to cripple that Huang Quan Devil King. Leave his life for Wu Zhang to kill." "Understood," the black-robed woman replied. "Bring the twin swords, heaven and earth, back. This contribution will be yours." The wraith statue's voice stopped at this point. The black-robed woman waited for a while longer, then stood up and left. The black robe she was wearing suddenly fell to the ground, revealing her snow-white skin. A tight-fitting black armor appeared on her body. Following, there was a full set of black armor that exuded a deep sense of killing intent. She pushed open the door of the conference hall and ordered the generals waiting outside. "Relay my orders." The generals all knelt down on one knee and shouted, "Yes, sir." The black-robed woman's expression was expressionless as she casually ordered, "The entire army is to move out to the 900 million world layers with me." One of the generals doubtfully asked, "Madam, what are we going to do?" The black-robed woman glanced at him and replied, "The war is about to end, but the eternal abyss still has a supreme divine armament that is still wandering outside. We are going to retrieve it and offer it to the Wraith Lord." "Understood." At a certain point in the past, an unfamiliar world, the orange cat was sitting on the roof of a red brick house. Lines of glowing text appeared in front of his eyes. "Frowny face, the thousand demon eroding insect goo has been fully absorbed. Following this, you will begin to absorb Magic Dragon's power. Attention! Attention! Magic Dragon's soul is still contained within his power and has yet to leave. Would you like to consume his soul and convert it into your own soul points?" The orange cat's eyes flickered. After a bit of thought, he lightly shook his head. In truth, even without the War God UI's reminder, he had already sensed the other party's soul. "Strange, I've already let his soul go, so why hasn't his soul left?" The orange cat closed his eyes and entered his thought sea. A muscular man with a pair of horns on his head was standing at the edge of his thought sea, neither moving forward nor retreating. He simply stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, as if waiting for something. "Magic Dragon." Gu Qingshan appeared and stood in front of him. "Why aren't you leaving? Are you still reluctant to part with your power?" Gu Qingshan asked. The demon dragon said, "As a ghost, only in your sea of knowledge can I say a few words to you at the last moment." What do you want to say to me?" Gu Qingshan asked. Magic Dragon replied, "Before I die, I actually still have a lot of means to fight against you, or at least wound you, but I've noticed the existence of that goo insect." His gaze fell into the void of space and lost focus. "That goo worm couldn't wait to control my body. It's like playing with a chess piece or manipulating a puppet." I immediately understood everything. Gu Qingshan raised her eyebrows and continued, "Being attacked from behind by one's own people is truly depressing." Magic Dragon couldn't help but ask, "I have a question. Your thaumaturgy can completely destroy me, so why didn't you consume my soul?" Gu Qingshan replied, "Souls aren't my ingredients." Magic Dragon pursued further, "Aren't you afraid that I'll return in the future?" Gu Qingshan replied, "If I can kill you once today, I'll be able to kill you countless times in the future." Magic Dragon suddenly laughed self-deprecatingly. "So that's how it is. How ironic. The one behind me wishes for everything I have to be consumed, but my enemy chose to spare my soul." Gu Qingshan casually replied, You don't need to feel grateful for that because I've killed countless souls. As for you, I only felt that you had painstakingly accumulated your strength, and you are also very capable, worthy of respect. So I took away your power just like that. At the very least, I should give you some compensation. This is my principle when it comes to making deals, but you're already dead, and I have nothing else to give you. So I'll give your soul a chance to reincarnate. Magic Dragon silently listened to her for a while. Gu Qin Shan, I've been imprisoned in Magic Dragon's body, walking in the darkness for my entire life. I've already forgotten what it feels like to be a human. For over 10,000 years, no one has ever treated me as a human. I've given up everything, only to end up like this. That's why after some thought before I leave, I've decided to ask a favor of you. Gu Qin Shan smiled and raised her hand. Wait a minute. No matter what you want to ask, I can't agree to it right away. Why not? Magic Dragon narrowed his eyes and asked, as you know, I've been very busy lately. The fate of the 900 million world layers is about to be decided. Order also needs to evolve a bit faster, and I also need to think about how to deal with chaos. Furthermore, I'm also an ally of the Abyss. It's now my turn to help it fight. I've also promised Lynn to take her to the reality gate. In short, there's a lot of things I need to do, Gu Qin Shan replied. Magic Dragon silently listened and nodded. You really are busy, Gu Qin Shan muses. How about this? You can tell me what you need to do first. After everything has calmed down, I'll have the time to travel to many worlds, see many things I've never seen before, meet many people I've never met before. At that time, if your request won't harm anyone else, I'll help you complete it. Consider this a bit of respect I have for you as an opponent. Gu Qin Shan thought for a bit, then added, I hope that after I fulfilled your request, you'll be able to live a good life in your next life and not go back to being a spy. It's too tiring and the pay is too poor. All right, don't come looking for me for revenge either. I don't really like killing people. Magic Dragon looked at Gu Qin Shan for a long while before asking, you want to retire? That's a good idea. Unfortunately. Unfortunately what? Gu Qin Shan asked. The Eternal Abyss is going to be destroyed today. P.S. Fellow readers, I'm Firework City. Recommend a free app that supports downloading, listening to books, 0 ads, and multiple reading modes. Dear readers, please pay attention to it. Chapter 1225. The Eternal Abyss is going to be destroyed today. Gu Qin Shan repeated. Indeed, Magic Dragon replied. Gu Qin Shan looked at him without saying a word. Magic Dragon's gaze appeared nostalgic as he continued. In the past, when I was born in the Wraith Realm, I was hailed as a peerless genius when I was young, struggled for several hundred years, then became the center of attention due to my astonishing compatibility with the guy's hex. Some even declared that I would become the 4th Wraith Lord in another 1,000 years, and that was my path to disaster at the time. The Wraith Lord found me and told me that as long as I completed a certain mission, he would reward me with countless resources and help me break through my cultivation, making my dream come true. And then, Gu Qin Shan asked. Magic Dragon lowered his head and smirked mockingly. And then, I followed the mission's instructions and stayed inside Magic Dragon's body, destroyed the bygone-era humanity's path of survival, forced them away, then competed against you for the twin swords heaven and earth. All the way until today, I endured such a long and lonely period of time, finally waiting for the Wraith Realm to enter the space vortex. But I was immediately infected by a parasite and died in your hands. I finally understand, as the greatest genius of the Wraith Realm, my final value was to use my own body and soul to eliminate the enemies of the Wraith Lord's son. Magic Dragon's tone was cold and emotionless, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. Gu Qin Shan sighed and couldn't help but shake her head. In terms of talent and ability, Magic Dragon wasn't bad at all, but his life was so tragic. Gu Qin Shan couldn't find the words to comfort him. Magic Dragon looked at Gu Qin Shan and muttered, everything that Song Wuzhong had was the best, including the Azure Dragon and his guy's hex. Originally, with his strength, he wouldn't have been qualified to even touch it, nor would he have been worthy of the title of Wraith Might. Gu Qin Shan, it's incredible that you can beat him once, but you better pray that you don't run into him again. Could it be that his old man is going to fight in person? Gu Shan narrowed her eyes and asked, "Not necessarily in person, but he will definitely use a power that you will absolutely not be able to resist to kill you in one fell swoop," Magic Dragon said. Magic Dragon stared at Gu Shan for a while, then said, "After you finish absorbing my power, you'll have roughly the power of 3 dragons, about the same as a true wraith might. However, you must keep in mind, in the wraith realm, there are at least a few dozen wraithmite commanders. If any one of them were to lead their army here, the only thing you could do would be to die in battle." As he spoke, Magic Dragon's body gradually became thinner. Magic Dragon and Gu Shan looked at each other. "I don't have much time left. I need to find a body immediately." Saying so, Magic Dragon clasped his hands together and formed a strange hand seal. "Lend me a bit of soul points. I need to perform a technique." Gu Shan wasn't afraid of him playing any tricks, so she used her consciousness to transfer a bit of soul points to him. As soon as Magic Dragon received this soul points, the hand seal in his hands was immediately completed. An invisible fluctuation began to spread from his hands. At first, Gu Shan didn't feel anything, but after a while, her expression changed. He took out 3 coins from his pocket. The 3 coins quickly disintegrated, turning into tiny grains of sand that scattered from his hand. "You destroyed 3 of my coins?" Gu Shan asked in a low voice. Magic Dragon waved his hand. The other 3 coins suddenly flew out from his soul and hovered in front of Gu Shan. Gu Shan received the coins. These 3 coins were different from the ones he obtained before. While they were in Gu Shan's hand, they were lightly vibrating towards Magic Dragon, as if saying goodbye to him. "The coins are sentient." A line of glowing text appeared on the War God UI frowny face space-time coin. Description: you've learned of its power, but no one knows where it came from. Description: these are the true space-time coins, the only real ones within the space vortex. Gu Shan looked at the coins, then at Magic Dragon, slowly understanding something. Magic Dragon looked at the 3 coins and spoke tiredly. "There are 5 unimaginable treasures within the void: the book of prophesied destinies from the inner plane, the twin swords heaven and earth from the eternal abyss, and the space-time coin of unknown origin. They're all one of them. The space-time coins were obtained by the bygone era humans after they came to the space vortex. In the age of old, the bygone era humans had used the power of these coins without restraint, but they didn't know that the real thing was already in my hands, and that the replicas were all created through my research and secretly revealed to them. Fake coins will completely crumble after a few uses," Gu Shan asked. "Those who use those coins will be forever trapped in a certain era?" "No, they will attract the attention of monsters when they pass through the river of time and be devoured. Just now, I use a secret art to destroy all of those coins. Among all the worlds, the only ones left are the 3 real ones in your hands. I'm already dead, so I can't take them with me, so I might as well give them to you." Magic Dragon's figure slowly disappeared as he flew towards the void of space. "Remember," he finally said, "I don't want to help you with anything, Gu Shan. I only hope that you will carry my hatred and kill those lofty wraith lords. Although this is almost impossible, this is my rejection of my own fate. Consider it the price for obtaining the 3 space-time coins from me. I'll leave this matter to you." As soon as he said that, Magic Dragon's figure was about to leave. "Wait a minute," Gu Shan hurriedly called out. "I've already given you the space-time coins. What else do you want?" Magic Dragon turned around and asked, "How about you stay in my thoughts? See, once I return to my original world, I'll help you reincarnate and let you start over again." Gu Shan added, "I'll take care of all of your cultivation resources. Don't worry, I'm not the same as the Wraith Lords. I always do what I say." Magic Dragon chuckled, then replied, "Reincarnation will forget the past, but I will never forget the past, and I will never be a fool who only has talent, but is always deceived and used by others." His figure flickered and left Gu Shan's thoughts. See, the orange cat abruptly opened his eyes to see a transparent soul flying through the sky towards a faraway place. The orange cat released his inner sight to follow the soul's movements while scanning through several tens of thousands of miles to observe the current situation of this world. Very quickly, the orange cat gained a basic understanding of this world. This was a backward technological world. The so-called mechs were still only in the preliminary stages of research. People loved to use cell phones. Due to the existence of nuclear weapons, wars were mostly localized, surrogate methods. The air was heavily polluted. There had yet to be any breakthroughs in clean energy. Overall, the world was still in its most prosperous stage of development. Magic Dragon was going to reincarnate in such a world. While the orange cat was thinking, Magic Dragon's soul had arrived at a certain street and was pacing back and forth. On one side of the street was a large hospital. A woman was currently giving birth in the hospital. Her family members were gathered in a large group, anxiously waiting outside the surgery room. The mystic dragon stood silently in the void outside the window for a while. The orange cat had also arrived, crouching on top of a tall building to silently observe this. After a bit of hesitation, Magic Dragon abruptly turned around and left. He went past the hospital and arrived on the other side of the street, the slums. He flew into a filthy, secluded alleyway and stood at the very end of it. Next to a pile of garbage, a 5 to 6 years old child was lying on the ground, his body already cold. Even in death, he was still in the same position of searching through the garbage. Seems like this child most likely starved to death, or perhaps he ate something unhealthy and died of an illness. Magic Dragon carefully observed the child. Several pairs of feet hurriedly walked past the child. A long while later, no one came to take care of this corpse. After all, this was the slums, so this wasn't a rare occurrence. Perhaps someone would have to wait until the night passed and the sky brightened before someone would come here to take care of the corpse. A few moments later, Magic Dragon no longer hesitated and his soul flew down. The child slowly opened his eyes. He laid on the ground, coughing nonstop. After a while, the child finally stopped coughing and managed to stand up. Ah, what a weak body. The child uttered a mocking laugh that didn't match his age, then staggered as he stood up. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky. The cold wind continued to blow. More and more people were gathering in the alleyway. Because it was getting dark, even the poor had a place to return to. Pa, no one wants a little bastard. I thought you were dead just now. A spit fell on him. A random passerby casually cursed and left without a care in the world. The child stopped. He didn't show any emotions, only indifference in his eyes. He had already endured things 100 times more difficult than this, so this small matter couldn't affect him at all. Soon enough, he couldn't move anymore. After a bit of thought, he leaned his body against the wall and slowly moved forward. Before the sky completely darkened, he had to find a place to stay warm. Otherwise, today would be a very difficult day. Survive. This was the first lesson of his brand new life. At the top of the skyscraper, the orange cat silently watched this. Gongzi, look, he probably isn't used to familial love. After all, he's been alone for so many years, that's why he found a corpse. After being a spy for so long, I'm guessing it would be very hard for him to trust anyone. The child sat down in a corner of the alleyway. He found a few large plastic items that would be able to withstand today's cold weather. He could only hope that the snow tonight wouldn't be too heavy. That would be troublesome. The child leaned against the wall and silently sat down, preparing to endure this cold night. Countless scriptures that he had practiced in the past appeared in his mind. Unfortunately, this body is too weak, and it's still sick, so I can't do anything. If only I had something to eat. A gust of cold wind blew past. The child lowered his head and curled up his body. All of a sudden, he saw a small figure. It was an orange cat. The orange cat held a basket in his mouth and silently walked in front of him. Inside the basket was a bottle of warm milk, as well as a few pieces of bread. The orange cat put the basket down, meow, then crouched down without moving. The child looked at the orange cat with a cold and emotionless gaze. The orange cat stared at the child and pushed the basket with his paw. A few moments later, the child finally reached his hand out and took the milk. Mind your own business, he said in dissatisfaction, then turned his head away. Chapter 1226. In the end, fireworks don't usually recommend books. Only when the books are really good will fireworks come out to recommend them and share them with everyone. Today, I'm going to recommend a good book for everyone. It's called I Really Live Forever. This book's writing style is top-notch, and it has a deep foundation. It casually tosses out illusions, and when you're not paying attention, you'll start driving. What's amazing is that after driving, you'll feel a sense of purity. There's no one else like this. I think this book is a top-notch, everyday story. The characters are easily drawn, the characters are vivid, and the storytelling skills are extraordinary. Friendly reminder, the plot is very sweet. Go read it. Love you guys. World Apocalypse Online will be recommending a new book tonight. Currently typing, please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 1227. A snowy night. The sun rose. The entire world was covered in a blanket of red. On the rooftop of a skyscraper, a certain orange cat was sitting on the edge of the outer wall, carefully looking down below. Behind him, an autumn water clear blue sword hovered in the air. Gongzi! Shanu's voice resounded in the orange cat's thought sea. HM, if we stay here and don't leave, will it affect us? What do you mean? Right now, Bali is holding off the Soul Shrieker. With how powerful the Soul Shrieker is, if this goes on for too long, Bali might not be able to hold on, Shanu worriedly said. The orange cat yawned, then couldn't help but lick his paw. Wait a minute, I'm not a real cat. Why would I do that? The orange cat awkwardly pulled his paw back and replied to Shanu. I entrusted the order to him in order to separate the Soul Shrieker from Magic Dragon. His ability is also a form of insurance. But in truth, he doesn't need to fight against the Soul Shrieker, huh? Gongzi, I don't understand. Shanu was confused. The orange cat asked without turning around. Shanu, if we return to the past, which point in time do you think I would go to? Of course it would be. As Shanu was about to say that, she suddenly realized. That's right. Gongzi only needs to return to the point in time where he left. At that point in time, Bali hadn't fought against the Soul Shrieker yet. At that point in time, Magic Dragon had already left with Gongzi, leaving only the Soul Shrieker behind. From the perspective of Bali's group, Guqing Shan suddenly ran away, then suddenly returned. But Magic Dragon wouldn't return to that point in time. This really is, so that's how it is. Shanu smiled in relief. So Gongzi can peacefully absorb Magic Dragon's power here. It wouldn't be too late to return to the Spire's destruction after this power is fully converted. The orange cat looked down at the entire city, then at the secluded alleyway in front of him. Other than absorbing power, there's still something I haven't finished. He muttered in a low voice. There's something else? Shana was surprised. Guqing Shan retracted her inner sight into her thought sea. The three space-time coins hovered in the center of his knowledge sea. They let out a slight buzzing sound, as if they were asking for something. Although the war god UI had given him a simple description of the three coins, it didn't explain their specific functions and uses. The artifact spirit had to explain the abilities of a divine artifact in order for the user to completely grasp and unleash the power of the divine artifact. The six paths, Great Mountain Sword, and the twin swords Heaven and Earth were the same. The three space-time coins had yet to accept Guqing Shan. Just now, they made a request. This world is too backward. Please give him some necessary help. Some necessary help? The orange cat narrowed his eyes, then focused his gaze on the dirty alleyway several thousand meters away. The child had eaten and replenished his nutrition. At this moment, he was curled up in the corner of the wall, closing his eyes and circulating his energy. In fact, with Magic Dragon's intelligence and ability, he would soon obtain the initial power and surpass ordinary people. But the three coins were still not enough. For a guy like the Demon Dragon to be recognized by the three coins, and even at the last moment, the Demon Dragon wanted to help him, that was interesting. The orange cat fell into thought. Then, what else do I need to do to help him? The orange cat looked up and released his inner sight to observe this world. Being backward isn't a big problem. The most fundamental problem of this world is that it doesn't have any traces of supernatural powers. In this world, Humanity only chose technology because there were no other options. Only technology could help humanity progress. This is a bit troublesome. Even if it was the mystic dragon, it would still take a long time to reach the peak of this world. The orange cat thought for a bit, then took a stance and slightly moved his body. Dance! In an instant, the entire world disappeared in front of his eyes. A dim light appeared in front of the orange cat's eyes. The origin spirit of this world had arrived. Countless whispers could be heard in the wind, as if they were telling the orange cat something. The orange cat seriously listened. Then his expression slowly turned heavy. It turns out the 3 coins' worries weren't without reason. Magic Dragon would find it very difficult to surpass the limit of this world's power. Because over the years, this world's origin power had been used up too much, so there was no way for it to create supernatural powers. In reality, every world's resources were limited. If a civilization only cared about taking the world's resources, even polluting the sky, the sea, and the land without thinking of a way to nourish this world, the other living beings in this world would quickly go extinct, and the world's origin power would slowly be used up. This world would fall under the blindness and greed of its civilization, eventually ending up destroyed. The orange cat pondered for a bit, then abruptly leapt forward. He directly landed in the small alleyway, and once again appeared in front of the child. "What is it?" The child opened his eyes and casually asked. The orange cat pointed at the child, then meowed at the dim light in the void of space. The dim light then slowly entered the child's body. The child's complexion instantly regained a healthy glow. His body was brimming with power, no longer showing any signs of illness. The child's expression changed. "This is the world's origin power. You can actually use such power. Wait a minute. Why would the world's spirit listen to you?" Gu Qingshan's voice resounded in his ears. "It's only a transaction. You don't need to feel any pressure. You will soon receive this world's favor." Favor? Indeed, you will be freed from the shackles of this body, no longer bound by this world's normal formations. The world's spirit will gather its power to aid you, allowing you to quickly increase your cultivation and regain your strength. The child didn't appear to be overjoyed and instead asked with his immature voice, "Then, what do I need to pay?" Gu Qingshan replied, "This world is currently heading towards its decline. So while you become stronger, you need to work hard to maintain the balance of nature, pass on advanced knowledge and skills to this world civilization, freeing it from its excessive reliance on resources. At the same time, you will help this world slowly strengthen its origin power, returning it to its peak state and evolving to a higher level." The child silently sensed the world's spirit, paused briefly, then replied, "Very fair. I accept, but what do I need to do to complete this transaction?" Countless gusts of wind drifted into both his and the orange cat's ears, telling him the answer. The orange cat nodded. The child also nodded. Seeing that the deal was done, the orange cat sent his voice again. "I'm leaving." The child glanced at the orange cat one last time, then said, "Until we meet again." Hearing this, the orange cat couldn't help but smile. At the same time, inside the orange cat's thoughts, the 3 coins were giving off a joyful woo-woo sound. They were very pleased with Gu Qingshan's arrangements. "Seems like the problem has been solved." The orange cat nodded to the child again, then reached his paw out and lightly scratched the void of space. The world parted to 2 sides, revealing a deep space vortex. The orange cat walked in with his tail raised. A few moments later, the void of space returned to normal. The child sat still for a few moments, feeling like he had an endless supply of power. The entire world became vivid in his eyes. All of a sudden, a commotion could be heard from the alleyway. A long motorcade had entered this alleyway. Dozens of capable men wearing sunglasses and black uniforms got out of the cars. Following that, an old man with a head of white hair came out from the car. He came to the child's side, slowly squatted down, and sighed. "The last descendant of my Pang family, only 5 years old, was able to find a way to escape after being kidnapped and eventually hid in this slum without being discovered by anyone. Grandpa saw the hope of the family in you. He took the child's hand and picked him up. Good grandson, Don't worry. Those who try to harm you have already received their due punishment. Grandpa guarantees that such a thing will never happen again. During this entire process, Magic Dragon was completely stunned. What exactly is going on? The world's blessing. He didn't have time to think too much as the old man had already placed him on the back seat of the limousine. The old man looked at him and asked, "Have you ever been bullied by anyone? Have you ever suffered anything?" The child casually replied. "It's all small matters." The old man was a bit surprised, then abruptly laughed. "Come, we're going home." The car started moving. The long motorcade left this alleyway. Inside the warm and comfortable car, the child silently pondered something. After a while, he muttered in a low voice, "So, I need to let this world's spirit essence recover." Chapter 1228. The Wraith Realm. The Wraith Temple, also known as the Temple of Worship, was the center of authority of the Wraith Realm. At the deepest part of the Wraith Temple, in the most majestic hall, there were 3 Wraith statues. In front of each statue was an incense stick as thick as a bowl. Green smoke rose into the air and filled the entire hall. Countless screams and screams of pain could be faintly heard within the smoke. At this point, there was no one in the hall. 2 of the statues suddenly came to life. "Old Song has already left. When are we going?" "There's no hurry. Wait until I finish today's incense." One of the statues inhaled over half of the smoke, then said, "Recently, the number of suffering souls within the incense seems to have decreased a bit, less than 10 million. The other statue inhaled deeply, inhaled the rest of the smoke, then exhaled deeply. It replied, "Although so many parallel worlds have been destroyed, the number of souls is still limited, so the more we use them, the fewer we have at this point." A streak of flame flew into the hall, unfolded in the air, and formed a line of text. After reading through it, one of the statues sighed emotionally. The Wraith Might that was trapped inside the magic dragon had already been killed by Old Song. The other statue coldly laughed. "What? Are you pitying that guy? And you want that Wraith Might to also come into this hall and share the incense with us?" "No. He was able to get his hands on so many space-time coins, helping our subordinates travel through space and time, discovering many secrets and accomplishing many crucial tasks. Although there were times when the coins would malfunction, it was still a great contribution." "So, what you're trying to say is, he's already dead. Give him a reputation. That way more Wraiths can learn from him." That's reasonable." Suddenly, another streak of flame flew into the hall. Compared to the previous streak of flame, this one seemed a lot more urgent. The streak of flame exploded in front of the 2 statues, manifesting as a voice. "Wraith Lord, just now, we've lost contact with everyone who used the space-time coins. Please make a decision." "Wraith Lord." The voice disappeared. One of the Wraith statues spoke in a low voice. "Let me take a look. Strange. Several hundred space-time coins in my possession have all been destroyed." The other statue lightly waved its hand, manifesting a thick stone book in front of it. The pages of the book quickly flipped. Most of the names drawn with willow, the wisps were extinguished. The statue said in a deep voice, "This is troublesome. I've placed a karmic talisman on my people and placed a few strands of their life souls with me. Once they stop in the past and don't return, the talisman technique will naturally activate and they will die immediately. Wraiths use space-time coins to return to the past to perform certain tasks." There were many problems with this, and the Ghost Lord was naturally worried that his subordinates would not return for a long time to do something else. As such, he had to set up control talismans. Space-time coins suddenly disappeared. The Wraiths who were on a mission could no longer skip the long passage of time and return to the present. The other space-time coins could no more. Wraith statue heard and pointed as the void as Lord's coins as Lord. Most of the jade slips were covered in dust, and they no longer looked as bright as before. Most of my subordinates were also killed. Damn it. The Wraith statue's voice slowly became gloomy. Those space-time coins have been used for so many years without any issues. I didn't think you would endure it for so long. Only suffering a backlash at the moment of his death, the other statue's voice became cold. Fortunately, I never gave him the chance to turn things around. Otherwise, who knows who would be sitting on the Wraith Lord's throne, the past. A certain location within the space vortex. The orange cat was lying on top of the wreckage of a ship, silently waiting. In just a few moments, Magic Dragon's power would be completely absorbed by him and converted into his own power. His current strength had already surpassed Mahesvara King Realm, so he could face his Sumru Lord Realm tribulation at any time. But Gu Qingshan's control over her power had become even more precise, so she had been suppressing her spirit energy fluctuations to not connect to the laws of the void. He focused his attention on his thought sea. The 3 space-time coins were vibrating in his thought sea, explaining their abilities to him. Lines of glowing text also appeared on the War God UI. You now possess the space-time divine artifact, Seeker of Infinite Secrets, Distorter of History, Key of the Past, Fragment of the Traveler's Artifact, Space-Time Coin. This artifact has the following abilities. Proof. By holding these 3 coins, you will not attract the attention of monsters within the River of Time, nor will you be preyed upon by them. Patrol. You can use the power of the 3 coins and their corresponding objects to travel through the River of Time to the past, as well as to return to the present from the past. Attention. Whatever you do when you return to the past must not affect what happens afterwards in history. Otherwise, you will be erased by the law of time and fate. Unless you use Distorter, you may expend a corresponding amount of soul points to become the only person allowed to distort history. Attention. You may affect the course of history, but what you do cannot be related to your past in any way, nor can you come into contact with anyone or anything related to you in the past. Otherwise, you will be erased by the law of time and fate. Special attention. When you use Distorter, the space-time coin will lose its ability to travel through time until you have lived from that era until the moment you travel through the River of Time. Gu Qingshan felt a bit dizzy from reading all this, only understanding the use of these 3 coins after a while. Proof was the basic guarantee to travel through the River of Time. Patrol had the same effect as the replica coins. Distorter was even more impressive. It was the true value of these 3 coins. But the requirements to activate it were extremely strict. Not only could they not come into contact with anyone or anything related to them, they also had to live from that era that changed history all the way until now for the power of the coins to be restored. What unimaginable power! Gu Qingshan silently sighed. The 3 coins were quite obedient. They just stayed quietly in the sea of knowledge and rested. For now, Gu Qingshan didn't care about them. After that, he stayed on top of the wreck of the ship until he completely absorbed Magic Dragon's power. Finally, he returned to his human form. Gongzi, what do we do next? Shanu asked. It's quite troublesome. I heard Magic Dragon say that the Eternal Abyss is about to be destroyed, but I don't know what exactly happened, Gu Qingshan replied. Shanu thought for a bit and reminded him. Don't you have a colorful rooster, Gongzi? That rooster seems to be able to gather some information. Gu Qingshan face-palmed and said, Thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot about it. He tapped his inventory bag and took out the colorful rooster statue. After pulling on its comb a bit, the colorful rooster slowly came back to life. It gave a big yawn and said with sleepy eyes, Long time no see. Do you want to have some fun or buy some information? Gu Qingshan replied, I heard that the Eternal Abyss is about to be destroyed, so I want to know a bit about it. The colorful rooster looked around and spoke with a troubled tone. About that. I've vaguely heard about it before, but we're currently in the past, so telling you about this right now would be equivalent to me prophesying, and prophesying isn't part of my job scope. Gu Qingshan reached her hand out and transferred 100,000 soul points to it, without saying anything. The colorful rooster instantly became spirited, its entire body glowing as if it had been injected with chicken blood. It used its wings to pat its chest. You're being too polite. Don't you know what kind of relationship we have? This is what it is. Wait. Gu Qingshan stopped it. I have a question. You can only answer one question per day. Is it because answering questions will put a burden on you? Or is there another reason? The colorful rooster froze briefly before giggling. What kind of burden would there be in asking for information? It's not tiring at all, but the law says that I can only answer one piece of information per day, so that's why Gu Qing nodded. The colorful rooster then continued. Listen carefully, today was supposed to be the final battle, but something suddenly happened in the Wraith realm. Many powerful Wraiths mysteriously died in the past, causing the entire Wraith realm to fall into chaos. The three Wraith Lords couldn't help but temporarily stop their attack on the Abyss, giving the Eternal Abyss a chance at survival. After saying so, the colorful rooster once again turned back into a statue and returned to its motionless state. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but fall into thought. The destruction of all the coins was most likely the handiwork of Magic Dragon. As for the death of the Wraiths, the counterfeit coins couldn't do that, so it must have been caused by some other factor. Seems like this was one of Magic Dragon's means of revenge. Wait a minute. Gu Qingshan suddenly realized something else. Right now, the only one who can use the power of the three coins to return to the past is me. With a single thought, he took out the three coins and attempted to use Patrol to travel back in time for one day. Such a short distance didn't take much effort, and he didn't even need to travel through the River of Time. Gu Qingshan simply stood still and arrived at the next day. He put the three coins away and pulled on the comb of the colorful rooster. The colorful rooster instantly became alive. Yo, what a beautiful brand new day, the colorful rooster exclaimed. He was surprised, then looked at Gu Qingshan. I feel like I've only just met you. Why are we meeting again? The rooster asked. Perhaps it's just your imagination? Gu Qingshan replied. All right, do you want to have some fun? Or do you want some information? The rooster asked. I need information, Gu Qingshan replied. The colorful rooster was troubled, but we're currently in the past. If I tell you information right now, it'll be the same as Gu Qingshan transferred 100,000 soul points over. Aha, you're being too polite. Just ask me anything you want to know, the rooster loudly declared. Gu Qingshan replied, I want to ask about the Wraith Realm, about an enemy of mine called Song Wu Zhang. Him? He brought a large group of people to the 900 million world layers to cause trouble for you. However, the real problem isn't him, but the army of 1 million Wraiths, as well as the Wraith might leading them. She wants to take your twin swords, heaven and earth. TSK, TSK. It's time for you to die, Brad. Chapter 1229. After saying so, the rooster's body stopped moving and slowly turned back into a statue. An army of 1 million Wraiths? Gu Qingshan recalled what Magic Dragon once told her. After you've absorbed my power, you'll have roughly the power of 3 dragons, about the same as a true Wraith might. But you must keep in mind, in the Wraith realm, there are at least a few dozen Wraith might commanders. If any of them were to lead their army here, the only thing you could do is die in battle. If that's the case, it really is troublesome. Gu Qingshan took out the 3 coins again. To be honest, traveling back in time for a single day is a very simple thing to do, especially when I haven't done anything yet. Patrol, activate. Gu Qingshan only felt his vision blurring for a second. Another day had passed. He looked at the colorful rooster and pulled on its comb. The colorful rooster came alive for the 3rd time, staring straight into Gu Qingshan's eyes. The rooster appeared confused and muttered, I can't help but feel like something isn't right. I clearly, Gu Qingshan transferred 100,000 soul points over. The rooster immediately laughed and said, Brother, if you have any questions, just ask. As soon as it said so, it couldn't help but yawn. A line of glowing text quickly appeared on the War God UI, frowny face attention. This rooster is feeling sleepy. If you continue to awaken this rooster too often, it might cause the War God intelligence to go insane and transmit false intelligence. Gu Qingshan was surprised. This rooster just said that transmitting intelligence wasn't tiring at all, so it was just pretending. All right, seems like this will be the last time. Gu Qingshan immediately asked, Please give me a piece of intelligence. As long as it's related to my current situation, the rooster blinked its eyes and reluctantly answered, Dead, they're all dead. Gu Qingshan's heart sank and hurriedly asked, Who's dead? The rooster replied, "The pixies, they were all killed by that brat, who told you to return to the past. And since that brat couldn't find you, he could only vent his anger on those pixies. They've set up an inescapable net and are waiting for you to return." After saying that, the colorful rooster quickly turned into a statue and stopped moving. Gu Shan was stunned. The fairies are all dead? Within the 900 million world layers, the strength of living beings was naturally limited. This was a restriction set up by the divine race in the age of old, and after countless years of development, it had become very difficult to change it. That was why the 900 million world layers couldn't stop the Wraith realm at all. He was not a match at all. But order was a real hope that could help all living beings break through their shackles. That was why Gu Shan was doing everything she could to kill the Soul Shrieker and activate World Apocalypse Online, Human Legion, giving everyone the ability to save themselves. But now, before the task was completed, those thumb-sized fairies were all killed. Fairies were a noisy race. Although they had many bad habits, they were naturally passionate and treated people sincerely. They never owed anyone favors. Including this time, they were also doing their best to help Gu Shan defeat Chaos. However, they died just like that. Gu Shan stayed silent for a bit, drew the Earth Sword, and infused 2 million soul points into it. Instantly, intense gusts of wind drifted around the Earth Sword, causing even the void of space to warp and distort. This was 2 million soul points. "Adorable, look at me," Gu Shan angrily shouted. A show sound resounded from the void of space. Gu Shan swung his sword with everything he had. This was the first time he had used his full power after obtaining the power of 3 dragons. Secret Art, Drawn Shadow, Earth Sword Thaumaturgy, Earth's Choice. Countless black sword images bloomed like a lotus flower, spinning, weaving, and slicing through the void of space. Gu Shan sheathed his sword and tossed the 3 coins to the air. The 900 million world layers. The space vortex. An army of over 1 million wraiths had completely surrounded the void of space. Song Wuzhong was wearing a brand new set of armor, standing among the wraiths like the moon surrounded by stars, loudly ordering, "Surround that side a bit tighter." Since the Huang Quan Devil King had traveled to the past from this place, when he returns, he will naturally return here to find those pixies. So be careful. He suddenly turned around and asked Commander Yu, who was standing not too far away, "You came in such a hurry. Did you come to take my credit?" The woman called you didn't say anything, but her wraith generals were a bit annoyed. "You brought over 1 million people to help you, yet you're saying that our master is here to take your credit?" You lightly shook her head and signaled her subordinates to stay silent. She casually replied, "I'm following the Wraith Lord's orders to only take the twin swords heaven and earth. This doesn't conflict with your mission." Song Wuzhong coldly scoffed and mocked. "You even gave up your subordinate magic dragon, yet you still couldn't take down that Devil King. Who would have thought you'd have the face to try and take advantage of me?" As he was about to say something, she abruptly shouted, "All troops, prepare." Everyone turned around, only to see that the space vortex that had been surrounded was gradually filled with black fog. Following that, a man walked out from the black fog. The Huang Quan Devil King, Gu Shan. "Bind!" Song Wuzhong loudly shouted. The wraiths all acted. Blinding light and shadows of spells flew towards Gu Shan's body, instantly trapping him in the void of space, unable to move at all. Gu Shan stood still and smiled unexpectedly. "And here I thought you'd kill me as soon as I came out." He released his inner sight and spoke to everyone present. Song Wuzhong angrily replied, "Killing you is as simple as taking something out of my pocket, but if I don't make you feel despair and pain, how would I be able to resolve my hatred? It's just a simple fight. Is there a need to hate me to this extent?" Gu Shan continued to ask through inner sight. Song Wuzhong walked forward step by step, stood behind the soldiers and gritted his teeth. "I'm going to skin you alive bit by bit, then extract your soul and burn it in the flame of a lamp for a few thousand years. Only after hearing your screams of pain every single day would I be able to calm down." Gu Shan's expression didn't change, but she asked, "The pixies, Were you the one who killed them? That's right, Song Wuzhong replied. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. They weren't a match for you at all. So what was the point of killing them? Song Wuzhong pretended to be in deep thought, then muttered, I was thinking that this might be able to make you feel better, Gu Qingshan casually replied. And you did at this point, you chimed in. Where's Magic Dragon? Did you kill him? Gu Qingshan nodded, then continued to speak through inner sight. That's right, what about his soul? You wasn't assured and questioned further. Gu Qingshan smirked and replied, Of course I released him. You scowled, then glanced at Gu Qingshan deeply before slowly retreating. Magic Dragon, a peerless genius of the Wraith realm. If he had reincarnated in a certain era of the past, in an unassuming world, and the Wraith realm couldn't find him, with Magic Dragon's overwhelming hatred towards the Wraith realm, who knows what would happen in the future. When the three Wraith Lords find out about this, there would probably be another storm. This Huang Quan Devil King. He had to find out where the Mystic Dragon had gone. At this point, Gu Qingshan had turned to look at Song Wuzhong. You clearly have a grudge against me, but you killed the pixies who couldn't resist you. That's right, I can't undo anything. He slowly released his inner sight, then continued. But when it comes to killing someone, you need to consider carefully whether or not you can afford to pay the corresponding price. I've decided to kill you, then go against your old man. This was Magic Dragon's request, and it's quite fitting for me. Then what about you? Wraith Song Wuzhong, are you ready? Song Wuzhong was surprised. Ready for what? Your life, Gu Qingshan replied. Song Wuzhong looked left and right. Layers upon layers of undulating mountains of evil spirit soldiers surrounded him tightly in the middle. On the other side, Gu Qingshan was completely restrained by countless techniques. Among these techniques, not only were there unique restraining techniques, but there were also a few divine skills that were specifically used to restrain the body and soul. My life? Song Wuzhong loudly laughed. You want me to pay with my life? I have an army of 1,000,000 soldiers under my command, yet you dare to utter such arrogant words. Ah ha ha. The wraiths around him also laughed along. This guy is probably scared out of his wits. Gu Qingshan remained unmoved and continued to speak through her inner sight. Not only do I want you to pay with your life, I also want to tell you something else. Song Wuzhong couldn't help but laugh. Ah ha ha. Very well. Tell me. Tell me. Gu Qingshan appeared to be reminiscing, then slowly released her inner sight and said, In the past, when I fought against others, I would at least act as a sword cultivator and wouldn't use any other tricks because my sword is more than enough to solve any problem. But against you, since you were able to kill so many pixies who posed no threat to you at all, I won't care about that anymore. This time, I'm going to use the path of an assassin to kill you. Those are my Gongzi's exact words, as soon as she finished. A shio sound was heard. Countless black sword images manifested around Song Wuzhang's body. Layers upon layers of wraiths. Every defensive technique, Guy's talismans, life talismans, and ghost seals were all destroyed. Even Song Wuzhang's armor was completely ripped to shreds. Oh no! Everyone hurry! Protect Song Wuzhang! You exclaimed in shock. The wraiths unleashed countless strange techniques, but as soon as they touched the black sword images, they were instantly destroyed and vanished. You gritted her teeth, summoned a spear, and hurriedly rushed forward as fast as she could. In that split second, Gu Qingshan opened her mouth and spat something out. It was an unassuming butterfly. The butterfly instantly vanished and switched places with the gourd adorable that was hiding next to Song Wuzhang, turning back into Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan reached her hand out. The other him, who was restrained by layers upon layers of techniques, turned into an autumn-clear blue sword that swung in the air. Lawbreaker. Invincible. All the wraith's curses and divine skills were all broken. The sword flashed and appeared in Gu Qingshan's hand. Key. Gu Qingshan swung this sword and knock away used 5-pronged Devil King spear. His other hand wielded the earth sword and stabbed it into Song Wuzhang's chest. I said I'll make you pay with your life, and I'll make you pay with your life. Not a single lie, Gu Qingshan casually said. Chapter 1230. Gu Shan stabbed the earth sword through Tsang Wu Zhang's chest. Her other hand held the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword to stop Commander Yu's five-edged Devil King spear. Stand back. Gu Shan tilted her head and gestured to you. You didn't move and sternly shouted, Huang Quan Devil King, if you dare to attack, the entire Wraith Realm will not forgive you. You will never be able to reincarnate. Gu Shan looked at her and lightly pushed the earth sword forward. Chi! The earth sword pierced through Tsang Wu Zhang's chest even deeper. Tsang Wu Zhang gritted his teeth and didn't make a sound. That's quite a tough one. Gu Shan smiled and twisted the earth sword in her hand. Blood gushed out. An intense pain came from his chest. Tsang Wu Zhang had never felt such pain in his entire life. He couldn't hold himself back anymore and shouted, Damn it, you! Hurry up and back off! Hurry up and back off! You didn't dare to probe any further, so she put her spear away and retreated. Don't be ridiculous. This is the Wraith Lord's son. If he was killed by the enemy because of my careless probing, even dying 10,000 times wouldn't be enough to appease the Wraith Lord's anger. Gu Shan looked around. The million-strong Wraith army surrounded him, each of them staring straight at him. Gu Shan was completely convinced that if he was distracted for even a moment, he would die without a proper burial. Speak, Huang Quan Devil King, what do you want? Tsang Wu Zhang gritted his teeth. What do I want? Gu Shan repeated. That's right, as long as I have it. I can give it to you, but you must spare my life, Tsang Wu Zhang replied. As soon as he said spare my life, he instinctively looked around. I actually said such a thing in front of the million-strong Wraith army. Tsang Wu Zhang was so furious that he wanted to kill everyone here. Huang Quan Devil King. Detestable Huang Quan Devil King. When I return this time, I will definitely throw away my pride and beg my father to kill this Huang Quan Devil King, then trap the Devil King's soul within the flames and make it into a lantern that I carry around with me. He wanted him to suffer for eternity. He wanted everyone to hear his endless wailing. While he was thinking, the Huang Quan Devil King's voice resounded again. Are you really willing to pay any price to exchange for your life? Of course, state your conditions, Tsang Wu Zhang immediately replied. Gu Shan replied, Those pixies were all killed by you, but I know that your Wraith Realm has never let anyone go. Even if they're dead, you'll still take their soul. So, you have to give me the souls of those fairies. Tsang Wu Zhang's eyebrows loosened, then shouted at a Wraith General. Give it to the Huang Quan Devil King, yes. Please accept this, Huang Quan Devil King. The Wraith General took out a small stone box, threw it towards Gu Shan and Tsang Wu Zhang. Except Gu Shan gestured to Tsang Wu Zhang. Tsang Wu Zhang was surprised, but didn't accept the stone box. Naturally, Gu Shan also didn't accept the stone box. He took Tsang Wu Zhang away from the stone box and sneaked a glance around, only to see that the Wraith Might Yu was fine. Her expression was cold and unchanging, but quite a few of the soldiers without Yiksha masks appeared disappointed. Without saying anything else, Gu Shan let go of the Six Paths Great Mountain Sword and took out a horn skull staff. Tsang Wu Zhang. Oh, Tsang Wu Zhang, it seems you still don't understand your current situation properly. Gu Shan muttered and abruptly stabbed the Devil King Warden Rod in the other party's chest. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Intense pain assaulted him. Tsang Wu Zhang's body twitched uncontrollably and uttered a long scream. Embark, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Don't. Gu Shan ignored him and activated the scepter with her mind. Right away, the skull on top of the scepter gave off a faint red glow. The scepter had been activated. From now on, Tsang Wu Zhang's soul was completely suppressed by the scepter. With a single thought from the Huang Quan Devil King, his soul would be completely destroyed. Tsang Wu Zhang also noticed the abnormality. He felt as if his entire soul was trembling. This scepter was in contact with his soul, capable of destroying it at any moment. Huang Quan, Devil King, he shivered, realizing for the first time that his fate might not be as simple as death. Gu Shan patted his shoulder and smiled. Brother Wu Zhang, how about we try again? But remember, this will be the last choice you'll ever make in your life. If you make another mistake, You'll lose your life. Fine. Fine. You're the best. Men, give him the pixie's soul. Song Wuzhong gritted his teeth and ordered. The Wraith General finally gave up and took out a cage made of straw rope, tossing it to them. The Six Paths' great mountain sword flew up and lightly caught the cage with its tip. After sensing it for a bit, it confirmed that the only way to break it was to use spatial imprisonment without any other methods. So it spoke up. Gongzi, there's no problem. Gu Qingshan received the cage, scanned it with her inner sight, and found that this cage was indeed a spatial artifact filled to the brim with pixie souls. The pixie souls seemed to have also sensed his inner sight, so they all released flames to form the long-bearded old man's appearance and winked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan felt assured. Back in the secret passage of the Dusty World, the pixie souls were able to survive for a very long time, so there naturally wouldn't be any problems now. I didn't have time to save them before, so I'll have to explain it to them later. But from how they behaved, they most likely didn't care about it, and even had the mood to throw flirtatious glances at me. Gu Qingshan silently thought, then turned his hand to put the cage away and turned back to Song Wuzhong. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind. Can you let me go now? As long as you let me go, I'll make a vow in front of everyone to ensure your safety. Song Wuzhong endured the intense pain and fear, trying his best to speak slowly. Gu Qingshan said, I have a question. What do the Wraith Realm usually use to carry their personal belongings? Bracelets, Song Wuzhong replied. Gu Qingshan glanced around. Sure enough, each evil spirit wore a bracelet on their arm. Some are made of jade, some are made of gold and silver, some are made of plants, and some are made of white bones. Song Wuzhong was also wearing a black jade bracelet with 2 dragons engraved on it. This one, Gu Qingshan pointed at his bracelet and asked, Wait a minute, that's my bracelet, Song Wuzhong called out. Gu Qingshan ignored him and took off the bracelet. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI, frowny face, black jade, dragon-shaped soul bracelet, destroyed. Interspatial artifact, a total of 21 defensive techniques, all of which were destroyed by a single strike of Earth's choice. So it's already destroyed? Gu Qingshan silently thought and released her inner sight to scan the bracelet. Sure enough, the layers of restrictions were destroyed, and the dense and dazzling array of treasures within the bracelet were like a mountain or an ocean, and they filled the entire bracelet. Last time at the World Pillar, Gu Qingshan had already given everything she had to the World Fragments, so she was now completely broke, unable to even afford a cup of tea. But now, Song Wuzhong was the young master of the Wraith Realm, as well as a former Wraith Might who had conquered countless worlds, so the treasures he had were countless times better than those of the 900 million world layers. What did you just say? Gu Qingshan looked at the bracelet and asked. This is, Song Wuzhong observed her expression, thought about the things inside the bracelet, and carefully said, My bracelet. Gu Qingshan rubbed the bracelet against her inventory bag, emptied everything, then put it back on Song Wuzhang's arm. Don't worry, I don't care about your bracelet at all, Gu Qingshan replied. Song Wuzhong sighed in relief, but as he sensed the bracelet, his face slowly paled. My countless years of hard work are all gone. All of a sudden, a loud and furious voice resounded from afar. Who dares to touch a member of my Wraith Realm? This voice came closer and closer, causing the entire void of space to tremble. Hearing that, the Wraiths cheered. The Wraith Lord is here. It's the Wraith Lord. General Wuzhong will be fine. That's great. Gu Qingshan's gaze passed through the rain. Her expression didn't change, but her aura had loosened a bit. He's confident enough to deal with me? There are too many unknowns about Guy's hexes and talismans. Song Wuzhong was able to exchange lives with someone else last time, so the substitute talisman technique must have come from his father. That's troublesome. Gu Qingshan didn't hesitate and immediately circulated the spirit energy in her dantian, unleashing all of her power. Boundless spirit energy drifted around her body, giving off fluctuations that far surpassed even the power of the Mahesvara King realm. Gu Qingshan put her hand on Song Wuzhang's neck and muttered, Your father seems to be very impressive, But keep this in mind, if you provoke me again, your father won't be able to protect you instantly. An invisible law fell onto Gu Shan's body and took her away from the millions of wraiths. Heaven's Tribulation. The Sumeru Lord Realm Tribulation. Gu Shan directly used the Law of the Void to escape from this part of the space vortex to face her tribulation. Even a Wraith Lord wouldn't be able to easily travel from the 900 million world layers to Heaven Pillar World. Not to mention, the samsara barrier that Renito broke all those years ago had already been restored. The entire divine mountain of Sumeru was no longer being corrupted by the outside world. But Song Wuzhong didn't care that much. As soon as the Huang Quan Devil King left, the fear in his heart disappeared, replaced by endless rage. Being caught by an enemy amidst millions of wraiths, threatened, and even had his black jade dragon-shaped soul-embracing bracelet taken away. This humiliation was enough to ignite his anger. A bunch of trash, they couldn't even stop the other party for a single moment. Or perhaps these guys weren't even trying to protect me? They all deserve to die. Song Wuzhong forcefully suppressed his emotions and shouted, "Men, his voice stopped. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, his head tilted to one side and rolled down from his neck, leaving only the headless corpse still frozen in place. Chapter 1231. Darkness. The pitch-black darkness gradually faded. Song Wuzhong opened his eyes and found that he was tightly bound by countless metal chains, suspended in the air. What was going on with him? He stared blankly for a while and gradually remembered what had happened. The Huang Quan Devil King pressed his hand on his neck and said, "Your father seems to be very impressive, but remember, if you provoke me again, your father won't be able to protect you." He didn't pay much attention to it at the time, but who knew that after the Ghost King left, he suddenly felt a chill on his neck, and then he didn't know what happened. "So I'm dead?" Song Wuzhong was shocked and couldn't help but struggle. Suddenly, an old man's voice rang out. "Wuzhong, don't move." Song Wuzhong shivered and immediately stopped moving. This voice was all too familiar. It belonged to the Wraith Lord with the most powerful spells among the 3 Wraith Lords, 100 Grudges. Since he heard this voice, he was definitely not dead. Song Wuzhong regained his composure and asked, "Ghost Lord, what's going on?" Bai Yuan's voice sounded again. "You were killed. Fortunately, your soul and body are still there. Your father didn't want to reincarnate you with the evil spirit technique, so he found me and asked me to use this resurrection celestial technique to save you." Song Wuzhong silently sighed in his heart. Life and death was a big deal, and it was also one of the strictest laws. If I were to use the Wraith Realm spell to resurrect, I would definitely turn into a zombie or a skeleton or even a beast, unable to maintain my current body. The only way to transcend life and death and bring people back to life was to use immortal arts. Even if it was an immortal art, breaking through the laws of life and death to save a person would definitely require a lot of energy, so the Ghost Lords were not willing to use it easily. His father was not good at this kind of immortal technique, so he had to ask 100 Grudges to perform this immortal technique. Only God knew how much his father had paid for this. Huang Quan Devil King. Song Wuzhong gritted his teeth. 100 Grudges said, "Wuzhong, don't bother about it anymore. Your father has brought an army and surrounded that place. There, the place where you died was also the place where the Huang Quan Devil King went to face his tribulation. When a cultivator returns from a tribulation, they would definitely return to the place they left, and as soon as he appears, he would immediately die." Hearing that, Song Wuzhong calmed down. With his father personally taking action, there wouldn't be any problems. Once the Huang Quan Devil King's soul is captured, I can finally take my revenge. As for now, thank you, Lord 100 Grudges, for saving me," Song Wuzhong said with a grateful tone. Hee, there's no need to thank me. After all, everything has a price. Your father has already given me sufficient compensation. 100 Grievances said. Heaven Pillar World. Gu Shan sat on the city gate tower, took out the straw cage, and released the spirits of the fairies. Countless fairies surrounded him and expressed their gratitude. They took out pieces of wood, flowers, leaves, mushrooms, grasses, and the like out of nowhere, and put their souls into them. These things immediately came to life and turned into the appearance of fairies. However, the fairies who chose wooden bodies had dark brown bodies. The fairies who chose leaves wore green skirts. And the fairies who chose mushrooms looked like mushrooms with limbs and facial features. The long-bearded old man appeared again and hurriedly said, "Why didn't you chop that guy into pieces? You should know that he isn't like us pixies who can survive on a random leaf." Gu Qing smiled. "They have a Huang Quan world in their hands. They can control life and death. And they've even used immortal craft before, so I don't think there's any point in killing him. Also," Gu Qing carefully put a few stray hairs in her inventory bag and spoke with a serious expression. "Someone like him is actually a kind of loophole for the Wraith Realm. Rather than helping the Wraith Realm eliminate him, it's better to keep him as an idle chess piece that might prove useful in the future." The long-bearded old man shrugged. "Very well. Since you weren't being careless and had your own considerations, I won't worry about it anymore." Gu Qing asked, "What about the god of life?" The long-bearded old man sighed. "According to those wraiths, the power of chaos is more effective against the abyss. So they had the deity of chaos lead the carriers of chaos of the 900 million world layers to the front line against the eternal abyss." The old man awkwardly moved his body, then muttered in dissatisfaction, "This body seems like I'll have to meticulously make a new one when I return." Gu Qing immediately apologized. "I'm sorry. The power of the coins can only travel backwards and back to the past, not forwards, so I couldn't save you. The 3 space-time coins were objects that could alter history, so their power could only be used in the past. The coins could select a point in history to bring the user to the past, but they couldn't do anything about the present or the future. When a user traveled from the present to the past, the present time would still be moving forward. When a user returned to the present, they would already be in the future after a certain period of time. If the user couldn't return to the exact moment they left, even if they used the power of the coins again, they wouldn't be able to return to the exact moment they left. Because that period of time no longer belonged to the user of the coins, it completely belonged to someone else. For example, inside the seal of Drifting Sand World, whenever Gu Qing went to the age of old and died on the way, as soon as he returned to the seal, he would see Lin, who was impersonating the dark figure of light, doing something else. Sometimes, when he returned, Lin would be eating, sometimes Lin would be waiting for him, and sometimes Lin would be checking his pills, reading a jade tag, or doing something else. It was only when she sensed that Gu Qing had died that she would return to the moment of Gu Qing's death and bring him back. Sometimes, Lin would also hide in the shadows, traveling with Gu Qing and directly bring him back if things went wrong. But in the end, the fact that they returned to the age of old couldn't stop the present time from moving forward towards the future. When he returned from the age of old and arrived at the Earth world, the war god Ui immediately notified him that over a year had passed. At the time, the coins told him that Gu Qing would die if he didn't wait for over a year. Gu Qing had thought that the coins were afraid of Magic Dragon, Lin, and the Soul Shrieker's traps, but now that he thought about it, the coins didn't care that much. They were actually talking about the law of time. Just like the previous times, when Gu Qing returned from the past, time continued to move forward. When he returned, it would already be after the pixies were killed. Because of that, these 3 coins were also known as the keys of the past. Their power focused on the past. The past, Gu Qing suddenly thought of something. Perhaps there's something unique that can take me to the future? At this point, the long-bearded old man happily asked, "It doesn't matter. You've already saved us. But where exactly is this place? Should we hold a celebratory ball for surviving the calamity?" Gu Qing regained her senses and replied, "This is Heaven Pillar World." The long-bearded old man could already see the towering pillar of heaven at the center of the city. "Whoa, so thick, so sturdy. How regretful that it's broken," he exclaimed. The Pixie King appeared next to him, arms akimbo. "It took so much effort to get to this foreign world. Are we going to climb that pillar?" Hearing that, the long-bearded old man's eyes glowed. "That's right. That's the symbol of a cultivator. We should conquer it, the long-bearded old man said. Gu Qing-shan face-bombed. The pixies have a strange way of thinking, and since I have to face my tribulation, I really can't control them. You don't need to climb the pillar. Gu Qing-shan cleared his throat and tried to explain. If you want to leave this place, you'll have to come with me to the top of the mountain. To accomplish this as quickly as possible, I think you'll need to hide and stay by my side. Before he could finish, the long-bearded old man and the pixie king had already become excited. There's another mountain? The king asked. That's right, the divine mountain of Sumru. Gu Qing-shan sensed something amiss, but still answered. The divine mountain, both the king and the old man exclaimed. The long-bearded old man went silent for a brief moment, then suddenly shouted, Everyone, prepare yourselves. The first mountain climbing competition of the year is about to begin. The last pixie to reach the top must become a Woopa-Loopa, the king loudly added. And he must become a Woopa-Loopa for an entire year. Before he finished, the old man had already rushed forward. Father, you cheated. You ran first. The pixie king angrily shouted. He also rushed forward. The pixies shouted Woopa-Loopa and happily followed the king and the ancestor of the kingdom towards the heaven-reaching pillar. Gu Qing-shan stood still, opened his mouth, but couldn't say a single word. Law 57 of the infinite worlds, when pixies are in high spirits and want to do something, you can't stop them. Then, the divine mountain's vitality has been greatly damaged, and it's only just returned to normal, so it shouldn't be too dangerous, right? While Gu Qing-shan was hesitating, several cultivators flew towards her from afar and landed in front of her. Everyone respectfully clasped their fists. Your Excellency, you must be here to face your Sumru Lord Realm tribulation. Gu Qing-shan nodded. Sensing the immense spirit energy fluctuations coming from his body, everyone exchanged joyful glances. This level of spirit energy it's something they've never seen before. The last time someone passed their Sumru Lord Realm tribulation, it caused a huge commotion. This time, there were even more people who came to test him. There were around 30 of them. All of them had eager expressions on their faces. One of the cultivators respectfully asked, Your Excellency, please tell us how we should prepare. When will we set out? The arrangements of personnel will also be decided by Your Excellency. Gu Qing-shan sighed, then suddenly smiled and loudly declared, Come, let's climb the mountain. The last person to reach the top will turn into a tortoise for everyone to see. He leapt forward and took the lead. Chapter 1232. The wind whistled past his ears. Gu Qing-shan flew across the sky, casually dashing forward a few times before reaching the pillar to heaven. He turned his head to look at where he came from and said with a smile, You guys are too slow. The long-bearded old man arrived first, still a few thousand meters away from him. The old man opened his eyes wide and shouted, Gu Qing-shan is in the lead for now. Pixies, do your best. The pixies all began to move. Behind a large group of fairies, the cultivators were hesitant as they flew towards the heavenly pillar in groups of 2 or 3. I feel like the person facing the Sumru Lord Realm tribulation this time is a bit unreliable, one of the cultivators commented. A mountain climbing competition, does he really think that Mount Sumru is that easy to climb? Another cultivator commented. A female cultivator's face flushed a bit as she excitedly said, But he's very impressive, the most impressive Mahesvara King realm cultivator I've ever seen. That's true. The spirit energy waves he gave off were too overwhelming. I even thought that he was a Star River saint, another female cultivator commented after some thought. The other cultivators looked at her. The female cultivator scoffed and raised her chin. What are you all looking at? In my world, my father is a Star River saint. The cultivators all smiled innocently. They discussed among themselves while flying. Gu Qing-shan stood on top of the pillar to heaven. Having nothing better to do, he casually put his hand on his inventory bag to check his spoils of war. The Wraith Realm, where Tsang Wuzhang came from, had already gathered 60 to 70% of the entire Wraith Realm, so he naturally had a lot of treasures from the Wraith Realm. Wraith Guy's hexes, life talisman techniques, treasure tools, armors, weapons, they had everything. However, all of them required Wraith techniques to activate. Gu Qingshan's inner sight scanned through the Wraith techniques. How troublesome. To use these high-grade items, I'll need to learn the corresponding Wraith techniques. However, there were quite a few spoils of war from other worlds. As Gu Qingshan was about to look further, he sensed something and looked at the void of space in front of him. The void of space itself began to split apart as an invisible presence rushed out. Gu Qingshan immediately knew what it was. He sighed to himself. At the same time, both the Earth Sword and Chao Yin's sword flew out to protect him. Seeing that, the Six Paths Great Mountain sword also flew out. What's wrong? An enemy? Shannon nervously asked. No, the Earth Sword buzzed. It's something else. It sounded like it was watching a good show. What else? Shannon was surprised. At this moment, the aura turned into specks of light that formed the appearance of a woman. Holy Angel, Frost. Her entire body was surrounded by a pure white radiance, and she had a pair of wings on her back. Her appearance was so beautiful that it would be unforgettable to anyone who laid eyes on her. This was a super long-distance connection that she had made with the help of the occult technique. She smiled and softly said, "Hello, the man who saved me from the curse. Gu Qingshan." Gu Qingshan saluted and said, "Hello, the bravest and most capable woman in battle. We meet again." Frost smiled and replied, "That's not a compliment. All right, let's not talk about that. I just want to know, did you receive my letter?" Gu Qingshan replied, "I did. Then I don't know how to read. So that's why, if I knew earlier, I would have just used a projection. I just thought that using letters to communicate would feel better. I'm sorry." While they were talking, the pixies and cultivators had all arrived. In front of everyone, Gu Qingshan casually smiled and said, "I'm sorry, I'm busy right now. Can we talk later?" Frost hurriedly said, "This technique of mine actually has a kind of power. As long as you agree, you can directly pull me to your side. So, you just need to touch my shadow and silently say agree in your heart." Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. "What are you doing here?" he couldn't help but ask. Frost vaguely answered, "Only the one from over 100 million years ago had that kind of power. Then you and I." Gu Qingshan nodded to express that she understood. She was talking about the power of occultism, but in truth, Gu Qingshan had never seen anyone who had this kind of power before. Frost continued, "That's why I feel the need to exchange some of my experiences in using this power with you." Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then replied, "But I have a lot of things to do right now. How about you think about it yourself first? I'll tell you when I'm free." Frost smiled and replied, "It's fine. I can help you, whether it's in battle or anything else. In truth, in this world, only you and I are the same kind." Her gaze fell onto Gu Qingshan's wrist. The purple rope loop on his wrist was swaying along with the wind in the sky. Frost's expression became even more seductive as she whispered, "Gu Qingshan, I'm the only one who's worthy of you. How about I join with you?" Everyone almost collapsed. The long-bearded old man glared at the pixies and lowered his voice. "Pure pixies, don't look at this. Cover your eyes." Including the pixie king, all the pixies covered their eyes, leaving enough space between their fingers to look. The cultivators looked at the sacred angel, then at Gu Qingshan. A female cultivator muttered, "So this is love that transcends species? I remember clearly that I came here to face my tribulation." A lanky male cultivator spoke with a serious tone. "Perhaps this is part of facing a tribulation? Cultivators of our generation forget to eat and sleep, constantly cultivating without end. Where we find the time to find a Tao companion?" Every day, we spend our days hanging by each other's shadows. That's why the tribulation showed us this, to test our willpower. Another female cultivator asked in surprise. "Hanging by each other's shadows? That can't be right. We've all reached Yama King Realm Peak. This is the time to enjoy the path to immortality. Who doesn't have a Tao companion?" She looked around. Every cultivator nodded, expressing that they already had a Tao companion. The lanky male cultivator painfully closed his eyes. In the field, Gu Qingshan sighed as her thoughts turned. He really didn't want to fall out with this strange angel. About that, although I haven't been in a proper relationship before, I really don't have any feelings for you, Gu Qing patiently replied. The pixies all gasped in shock. She's already laid her cards on the table. That woman is so pitiful. Sure enough, Frost was already stunned. Gu Qing smiled and spoke with a gentle tone. Actually, we can be friends. I think it's a good idea to get along as friend. Frost thought for a bit, then replied, All right, then we'll be friends. You let me help you. I won't take up the position of your Dao companion. She lowered her voice. Then we'll silently become one sha. A sword phantom flashed. Frost's projection was instantly destroyed. The six paths great mountain sword hovered in the air, giving off a frigid gleam. Shanu. She used her lawbreaker ability to directly destroy the sacred angel's projection. Gu Qing felt like she was pardoned and wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. Shanu. Thank goodness, Shanu coldly replied. Don't worry, Gongzi. I'll kill as many shameless women as she comes. The Chao Yin sword mimicked her tone and coldly chimed as well. The earth sword circled around Gu Qing and asked, You seem to be afraid of that woman? Gu Qing muses, No, I just instinctively don't want to see her. How strange. You don't like such a woman? Her figure isn't good? Or do you not like her voice? The earth sword asked. No, her figure. Gu Qing suddenly realized and looked around. The pixies and cultivators were all looking at him with an expression of longing, waiting for him to continue. Everyone was watching with great interest. Two female cultivators were eating sunflower seeds in the back. Gu Qing kept his mouth shut. At the same time, the dusty world's secret passage. As the sacred angel's spell was interrupted, the light around her body instantly dissipated. How regretful. It's all that damn sword spirit's fault. She roared in unwillingness. Endless, terrifying aura flowed around her body. Her previous holy aura was completely gone. The entire secret passage was filled with intense wind that surged like a tsunami. Gu Qing, although you have the sacrificial dance, your cultivation level is too low. You can't stop my power. No, I have to find you. I have to find you. I should have been one of those lost identities. Chapter 1233. The Pillar to Heaven. There was a flight of stairs on the pillar that led straight to the clouds. The cultivators and pixies climbed up the clouds together. Frost's appearance was only a small interlude. Right now, everyone was trying their best to climb the heavenly pillar and reach the divine mountain of Sumeru. The last time I was here, this sky pillar was broken. Why is it all right now? One of the cultivators mumbled in a puzzled tone. Yes, according to the records, this sky pillar has been broken for a very long time. The cultivators wanted to search for the immortal lake of inversion within the layer of clouds. Another cultivator continued. That immortal lake is not easy to find. Usually, people would only find it after searching for a long time. It is said that in ancient times, there were immortals in the clouds who specialized in testing cultivators. Unfortunately, the immortals have disappeared without a trace. Gu Qing didn't say anything. She just kept climbing in silence. It seemed like, as the godly Mt. Shumi recovered, the heavenly pillar also became complete. He wondered how those disgusting monsters on godly Mt. Shumi were dealt with in the end. How did Master find the immortal lake? Master. Sigh. Perhaps Master doesn't even need to look for him. He just needs to think about it, and he'll be able to remember. What kind of person was Master? When he first met his master, she was one of the three saints of the mortal world. Later on, when they went to the ancient era, they found out that she was the daughter of the barren cloud Heavenly Palace's palace master. Because she was born with a golden lotus flower and possessed peerless talent, she was envied by the divine race and cursed. But now, it seemed that Master's identity wasn't just that. The ancient cultivators did not know so much about the 6 paths of reincarnation. The more she thought about it, the more confused Gu Qing felt. The heavenly pillar had penetrated deep into the clouds. After climbing for a few hundred breaths of time, they suddenly poked their heads out of the sea of clouds. Right in front of them, A vast lake appeared in front of them. The edge of the lake blended with the clouds, looking boundless. Based on her previous experience, Gu Qing stretched out her hand and made a hand seal, then flew into the lake first. The others followed suit. The pixies and cultivators fell into the lake, following Gu Qing as they dived deeper and deeper until the light around them became darker and darker. In the end, the lake was so dark that nothing could be seen. Everyone continued to dive, and even when they spread out their divine telekinesis, they could only explore the endless darkness. Gu Qing gestured for everyone to wait. After a few breaths, a dim glimmer of light flashed in the darkness. This light was almost undetectable, but the cultivators had already released their inner sight to search for it. Let's go. Gu Qing transmitted her voice to everyone. Everyone moved in a grandiose manner toward the source of the faint light. After a while, the surroundings gradually became bright. In the clear water of the lake, the gentle sunlight shone down from the sky, indicating the direction to float up. Everyone quickly floated up and leaped out of the lake. The lake water was vast, and the clouds were boundless as far as the eye could see. The cultivators all looked at Gu Qing. Only cultivators who faced their Sumru Lord realm tribulation would be able to see the divine mountain of clear glass that connected heaven and earth. Gu Qing sensed the subtle ripples in the void. She spread out her divine sense and scanned the surrounding thousands of miles. Finally, she saw the mountain, the divine mountain of Sumru. At this point, the divine mountain of Sumru had returned to its original glassy color, no longer showing the gloominess of before. "Come with me," Gu Qing called out, took flight, and flew towards the divine mountain. Everyone followed her order. A few dozen breaths later, the group stopped at the foot of the divine mountain. The void of space split open as a monkey jumped out. As soon as the macaque saw Gu Qing, it shouted, "You again?" Gu Qing nodded. "That's me." The monkey clasped his fist and respectfully spoke. "Thank you for your assistance and saving the divine mountain of Sumu." "You're welcome. I only did it for the convenience of my tribulation." Gu Qing returned the gesture. Hearing that, the cultivators were so shocked that they forgot to breathe. What? The divine mountain was saved by this cultivator who broke through to the Sumru Lord realm? Who exactly is he to be able to accomplish such a great feat? A female cultivator suddenly spoke up. Wait a minute. When the divine mountain of Sumru was on the verge of destruction, he was the one who saved it. Everyone turned to the female cultivator, only to see that she was the daughter of the Star River Saint. The monkey glanced at the female cultivator and nodded. It was his and his Sherfu's joint efforts. Truly impressive, Gu Qing said. Let's not talk about small talk. We're going to climb the mountain now, all right. The divine mountain is also waiting for you, the monkey said. He took out a dharma gong and a gavel from his back and told everyone, strike the dharma gong and you'll be guided in by the divine mountain. The dharma gong will randomly take one of your epithets, decide according to the epithet you receive, and send you to different corners of the divine mountain. Who's first? Everyone turned to Gu Qing. With a troubled expression, Gu Qing abruptly moved and retreated behind everyone. He clasped his fist to the group. Everyone, please go first. I've seen your epithets, so I naturally know your abilities, so I'll be prepared. Everyone was surprised. So that's what it was. This great cultivator was truly meticulous. But the monkey raised his voice. Brother Cat, your big tabby cat epithet has reached the limit of Mahesvara thaumaturgy. The divine mountain specifically ordered you to strike it first, so that you can go in and discuss something with it first. I've already avoided it so carefully. Why did you have to say my epithet out loud? Gu Qing was full of resentment. Under the indescribable gazes of the cultivators, he stepped forward and struck the dharma gong. A voice came from the dharma gong. Gu Qing, due to the divine mountain's care, today's epithet will be Cat King. Cat King is the dharma gong stopped for a bit, but couldn't find a way to describe it, so he angrily shouted. Gu Qing, location of entry. samsara divine palace, a layer of light appeared around Gu Qingshan's body, enveloped him, and disappeared with a sha. All right, next. Gu Qingshan only felt himself being dazed for a split second before he disappeared. A second later, the scenery around him changed. He found himself standing in the middle of the palace. There were 6 doors to the palace, and there was a long queue outside each door. Gu Qingshan looked around, only to see a busy scene. Quite a few people were maintaining order in the palace. Silence. Silence. Don't cut the queue. Those who cut the queue will go straight to Huang Quan. That pig over there, I'm talking about you. Your only choices are the Huang Quan realm and the Beast King realm. Why are you trying to squeeze into the human realm? Only have the Huang Quan realm left now. Following that, a desperate pig's cry resounded. The pig was gone. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but wipe the sweat off his forehead. So what exactly is going on here? He suddenly saw a familiar person. Baizhua. Baizhua was maintaining order, so he quickly walked over as soon as he saw Gu Qingshan. Thank you for avenging me and Changyuli last time, killing that vicious tiger. He clasped his fist and thanked her. It's fine, what's going on here? Gu Qingshan asked. The divine mountain is about to split into the samsara again, so all the demonic beasts from before will have to reincarnate again, Baizhua replied. That pig just now, this pig demon, So the pig demon went a Huang Quan? Yes, the divine mountain is actually a miniature samsara. Cultivators who face their tribulation usually have to pass through the 6 peaks to reach the top. Return to the human realm, or the path to heaven, the path to heaven. As Gu Qingshan repeated that, he suddenly had a thought. Before, Renidal couldn't find the divine mountain's path to heaven, so she could only leave the Qilin here to continue searching for it for her. After so many years, even when the divine mountain was about to be destroyed, the Qilin still couldn't find the path to heaven. In the recorded history of the cultivation world, the divine mountain had always been used to face tribulation, so no cultivator had ever found the Sumer Mountain's path to heaven. Where exactly is the path to heaven? Chapter 1234. Brother Guhm? Gu Qingshan regained his senses. Baizhua explained, the divine mountain said that it summoned you this time because there's a minor problem and a major problem. As long as you help it solve both problems, the divine mountain will directly send you to the summit, then help you upgrade Mountain of Orange to a Sumru Lord Thaumaturgy. Gu Qingshan's eyes glowed. It had been a long time since he received a large amount of soul points. He didn't even get any soul points from killing Song Wuzhang. The war god Yui's judgment was that Song Wuzhang's strength couldn't compare to a true wraith might, and he wasn't at the same level as Gu Qingshan, so he didn't get any soul points. Gu Qingshan currently had the power of 3 dragons, so if he wanted to obtain soul points through battle, he would have to kill enemies at the level of a wraith might or a wraith lord. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to obtain any soul points. He could only rely on the sacrificial dance and Mountain of Orange right now. The sacrificial dance wasn't something that could be performed at any time. Mountain of Orange required 1 soul point per second. If Mountain of Orange could be upgraded and obtain more soul points, that would naturally be the best outcome. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan asked, can Mountain of Orange become even stronger? That's what the divine mountain said. A Sumeru thaumaturgy is stronger than Ahasvara thaumaturgy, Baizhua replied. Very well. What does it want me to help solve? Let's first take a look at the minor problem. Divine Mountain, please lead us there. Baizhua respectfully bowed towards the sky above the divine palace. Instantly, the scenery around Gu Qingshan and Baizhua changed. They left the divine palace and arrived at a barren wasteland filled with jagged rocks. This place was filled with ghostly flames, and there was nothing edible on the ground. There were only ferocious, evil spirits, leading groups of humans who were barely clothed and fighting with each other endlessly. The humans who were captured in battle were immediately turned into slaves, humiliated and tortured, while the wraiths leading them howled triumphantly. Wraith Realm. Gu Qingshan observed the wraiths and commented. Noticing his gaze, Baizhua replied, indeed, these are primordial wraiths, truly powerful wraiths, as well as the rulers of the Wraith realm, completely different from those masked guys. Indeed, they're more ferocious. The human race is just their entertainment. Gu Qingshan looked at those people and shook her head. He noticed a Wraith's facial features, then recalled Song Wuzhang's mask. The mask was painted with the appearance of this demon. The evil spirit released countless afterimages, beating his opponent to the point where he couldn't resist at all. Then he directly tore off one of his opponent's arms and started eating it. So the guy's hex borrows the power of the primordial evil spirits. Gu Qingshan muttered. Speaking of which, I still haven't seen the true race of the Wraith realm. Only low-level Wraiths, normal Wraiths, and humans who have surrendered to the Wraith realm. What about those primitive evil spirits? Baizhua said. The reincarnated one is here. Gu Qingshan put down her thoughts and looked at the battlefield. The Wraiths seemed to have sensed something, so they all stopped and looked up at the void of space. A large group of people descended from the sky, landing in the middle of the wilderness. There was a thin layer of light around their bodies, protecting them and temporarily isolating them from this world. Come, join the Wraith realm. This place has everything you want, one of the Wraiths spoke with a resounding voice. The group of reincarnated people exchanged glances. Someone gathered their courage and asked, "How do you know what I want?" Another Wraith stepped forward, looked down at the group, and spoke in a low voice. Of course we know. All those who have ties with the Wraith realm hold intense malice in their hearts. My friends, do you wish to commit evil? The Wraith from before roared. Come, enter the Wraith realm. You can kill anyone you want. Ravage women. Torture men. Burn, kill, pillage. Commit all kinds of evil. In this place, no one will stop you because this is the rule that the Wraith realm upholds. The group of people looked behind the Wraiths, only to see a few weak men and women being pushed to the ground and bullied, while the muscular warriors laughed in response. A few of the reincarnated people stepped forward. This is the world I dream of. Doing evil is the happiest thing. Ahaha! Unrestrained by any laws or morals. I like this place. I want to reincarnate here. Me too. This place suits my temperament. The group of people stayed behind. Gu Qingshan turned to Baizhua. Baizhua explained. There was a small problem during the Divine Mountain's reconstruction of the Samsara. Now, every living being will be faced with more than two choices after death. They will have to choose which world they want to reincarnate into, Gu Qingshan said. So that's how it was after those people stayed behind. The light around their bodies slowly faded. They had become part of this world. Instantly, the Wraith's presence changed. Newcomers, one of the Wraiths uttered a single word, which was quickly followed up by the other Wraiths. You'll have to start as slaves. The humans under their command laughed maniacally, wielding various weapons in their hands as they charged forward. Countless desperate screams resounded. Baizhua asked, "Can you tell?" Gu Qingshan crossed her arms and replied, "The Wraiths can tempt those who reincarnated to stay behind. In truth, I don't think they've done anything wrong. Those who desire to commit evil naturally have to bear the evil of others. I also agree. But that's not the problem," Baizhua clapped his hands. The scenery of the Wraith realm disappeared in front of their eyes. Following that, an endless mountain range appeared in front of them. The mountain range was lush with lush greenery. Clear water flowed like a stream, and countless strange flowers and fruits grew. A large gorilla raised a small flag and shouted, "Follow me! Come, follow me to see the scenery here." The group of reincarnated people followed closely behind him. "Look, this stream, it's so clear, so sweet. This place is heaven on earth, with countless natural sceneries and abundant fruits for you to eat and drink. As long as you join the Beast King realm, you'll be able to transform into any animal, whether it's a cute and stupid style or a mighty style. It's up to you. Can you turn back into human form? Of course, you can change as you please. You'll even obtain the corresponding Beast King power while in human form." Suddenly, someone couldn't help but ask, "Then, is there anything that we must do? Something that we must do?" The gorilla turned around and pointed at that person. "That's a good question. You must participate in the monthly Grand Carnival." "Whoa, that's great. I want to become a majestic lion and obtain the power of a lion. I want to become a monkey, the kind that pops out a rock. You guys are so boring. I want to become a bird and soar through the sky. Everyone excitedly discussed. Baizhua clapped his hands. The scenery disappeared from their eyes. Another world appeared. On a square filled with weapons and armor, a man in armor loudly declared, "Come to the Azura realm. Take a look, take a look, take a look. We'll give you top-grade weapons. You can choose as you please." And the corresponding peerless scriptures. The group of reincarnated people curiously looked around. Someone picked up a flaming battle axe and asked with interest, "Is there a corresponding way to use this weapon?" "Of course." The man stepped forward and took out a few scriptures, handing them over. Someone else asked, "I don't like to use weapons. Is there a way to fight barehanded?" "There is as well." The man casually took out 7 to 8 scriptures. "If you join the Azura realm, every time your strength increases by a rank, you'll receive corresponding scriptures, armor for free, and if you're really outstanding, we'll even give you a super powerful pet. Other than that," the man clapped his hands. The void of space warped as a few women appeared. Everyone gasped in shock. "Did you see that? The women of our Azura race are the most beautiful existences in the entire samsara. Aha! But to win the heart of an Azura woman, you'll first have to defeat her." Baizhua looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan cleared her throat and commented, "That's quite a good slogan." Baizhua clapped his hands, and the Azura world also left. The other world are doing the same. In short, all of the samsara worlds are recruiting people, Baizhua said. "Why are they in such a hurry to recruit people? What's their goal?" Gu Qingshan asked. Baizhua explained, "The more people a world has, the more resources they'll receive from the Divine Mountain, allowing their world to become stronger." Gu Qingshan thought for a bit and said, "Isn't that a good thing? I can see that every world is doing a good job in recruiting people. So what's the small problem you mentioned?" Baizhua clapped his hands. A new world appeared in front of them. Clouds and mist. Other than clouds, there was nothing else. There was nothing else. Where is this place? The Heavenly Palace, huh? Why isn't anyone from the Heavenly Palace here? Saying so, Gu Qingshan looked at the man sitting in the mist. Chan Yuli. This was a human scout who went on a mission with Baizhua, only to die a horrible death. Chan Yuli stood up and smiled bitterly. "Brother Gu, you might not know this, but the construction of this heavenly palace consumes a lot of the Divine Mountain's resources. The Divine Mountain has spent a lot of effort just to create these clouds," Baizhua replied. "Among the samsara, the other 5 worlds can attract reincarnated people, but this heavenly palace is too shabby, with only a few clouds. No one is willing to come." Gu Qingshan looked around and muttered, "Compared to the previous worlds, it's still far from enough," Baizhua sighed. "The less people come, the more impossible it is to complete the heavenly palace." Chang Yuli shook his head. "The more shabby the heavenly palace is, the less people will come, and then it becomes a vicious cycle. So the Divine Mountain wants me to bring people to the heavenly palace?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's right," the two of them answered at the same time. "There's only a single cloud. That's too hard. Who would want to live in such a world?" Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then rolled up her sleeves. "I'll give it a try. First, let in someone qualified to reincarnate into the heavenly palace." Baizhua took out a jade disc, glanced at it, then said, "There's a human cultivator who sacrificed himself in the battle against the ghosts. He's qualified to reincarnate into either the heavenly palace or the Azura realm. Currently hesitating. Should I let him in first?" "All right," Gu Qingshan replied. Baizhua released a ray of light towards the jade disc. With a ho sound, a male cultivator appeared in front of the 3 of them. He looked around and doubtfully asked, "This place is—" Gu Qingshan displayed a dignified expression and stepped forward. "Fellow Tao Seeker, congratulations, congratulations?" the cultivator asked. Gu Qingshan clasped her hands together and respectfully replied, "Indeed, you were originally the mighty heaven-shaking great emperor of the 33 heavens, but because you were worried about the suffering of the lower realms, you entered the mortal world, went through numerous tribulations, and finally returned." The cultivator froze. Gu Qingshan continued, "Fellow Tao Seeker, please return to the heaven realm and take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the samsara. Take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the samsara. The cultivator muttered a few words and looked around. Clouds drifted around. The heavenly palace. Chapter 1235. Brother Gu, H.M. Gu Qingshan regained his senses. Bai Zhuo explained, the Divine Mountain said that it summoned you this time because there's a minor problem and a major problem. As long as you help it solve both problems, the Divine Mountain will directly send you to the summit, then help you upgrade Mountain of Orange to a Summer Lord Thaumaturgy. Gu Qingshan's eyes glowed. It had been a long time since he received a large amount of soul points. He didn't even get any soul points from killing Song Wuzhang. The war god Yui's judgment was that Song Wuzhang's strength couldn't compare to a true Wraith might, and he wasn't at the same level as Gu Qingshan, so he didn't get any soul points. Gu Qingshan currently had the power of 3 dragons, so if he wanted to obtain soul points through battle, he would have to kill enemies at the level of a Wraith might or a Wraith lord. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to obtain any soul points. He could only rely on the sacrificial dance and Mountain of Orange right now. The sacrificial dance wasn't something that could be performed at any time. Mountain of Orange required 1 soul point per second. If Mountain of Orange could be upgraded and obtain more soul points, that would naturally be the best outcome. With that in mind, Gu Qingshan asked, can Mountain of Orange become even stronger? That's what the Divine Mountain said. A Sumeru thaumaturgy is stronger than Asvara thaumaturgy, Bai Zhuo replied. Very well. What does it want me to help solve? Let's first take a look at the minor problem. Divine Mountain, please lead us there. Bai Zhuo respectfully bowed towards the sky above the Divine Palace. Instantly, the scenery around Gu Qingshan and Bai Zhuo changed. They left the Divine Palace and arrived at a barren wasteland filled with jagged rocks. This place was filled with ghastly flames. Nothing edible could be seen on the ground. Only fearsome wraiths, leading groups of naked humans to fight against one another. The humans who were captured in battle were immediately turned into slaves, humiliated and tortured, while the wraiths leading them howled triumphantly. Wraith Realm. Gu Qingshan observed the wraiths and commented. Noticing his gaze, Bai Zhuo replied, indeed, these are primordial wraiths, truly powerful wraiths, as well as the rulers of the Wraith Realm, completely different from those mass fellows. Indeed, they're more ferocious. The human race is just their entertainment. Gu Qingshan looked at those people and shook her head. He noticed a wraith's facial features, then recalled Song Wuzhang's mask. The mask was painted with the appearance of this demon. The evil spirit released countless afterimages, beating his opponent to the point where he couldn't resist at all. Then he directly tore off one of his opponent's arms and started eating it. So the guy's hex borrows the power of the primordial evil spirits. Gu Qingshan muttered. Speaking of which, I still haven't seen the true wraiths of the Wraith Realm. Only low-level wraiths, normal wraiths, and humans who have surrendered to the Wraith Realm. What about those primitive evil spirits? Bai Zhuo said, the reincarnated one is here. Gu Qingshan put down her thoughts and looked at the battlefield. The wraiths seemed to have sensed something, so they all stopped and looked up at the void of space. A large group of people descended from the sky, landing in the middle of the wilderness. There was a thin layer of light around their bodies, protecting them and temporarily isolating them from this world. Come, join the Wraith Realm. This place has everything you want, one of the wraiths spoke with a resounding voice. The group of reincarnated people exchanged glances. Someone gathered their courage and asked, how do you know what I want? Another wraith stepped forward, looked down at the group, and spoke in a low voice. Of course we know. All those who have ties with the Wraith Realm hold intense malice in their hearts. My friends, do you wish to commit evil? The wraith from before roared. Come, enter the Wraith Realm. You can kill anyone you want. Ravage women. Torture men. Burn, kill, pillage. Commit all kinds of evil. In this place, no one will stop you because this is the rule that the Wraith Realm upholds. The group of people looked behind the wraiths. only to see a few weak men and women being pushed to the ground and bullied, while the muscular warriors laughed in response. A few of the reincarnated people stepped forward. "This is the world I dream of. Doing evil is the happiest thing. Ah, unrestrained by any laws or morals. I like this place. I want to reincarnate here. Me too. This place suits my temperament." The group of people stay behind. Gu Qingshan turned to Baizhua. Baizhua explained, "There is a small problem during the Divine Mountain's reconstruction of the Samsara. Now, every living being will be faced with more than two choices after death. They will have to choose which world they want to reincarnate into," Gu Qingshan said. "So that's how it was after those people stayed behind. The light around their bodies slowly faded. They had become part of this world. Instantly, the wraith's presence changed. Newcomers, one of the wraiths uttered a single word, which was quickly followed up by the other wraiths. "You'll have to start as slaves." The humans under their command laughed maniacally, wielding various weapons in their hands as they charged forward. Countless desperate screams resounded. Baizhua asked, "Can you tell?" Gu Qingshan crossed her arms and replied, "The wraiths can tempt those who reincarnated to stay behind. In truth, I don't think they've done anything wrong. Those who desire to commit evil naturally have to bear the evil of others. I also agree. But that's not the problem." Baizhua clapped his hands. The scenery of the Wraith realm disappeared in front of their eyes. Following that, an endless mountain range appeared in front of them. The mountain range was lush with lush greenery. Clear water flowed like a stream, and countless strange flowers and fruits grew. A large gorilla raised a small flag and shouted, "Follow me. Come, follow me to see the scenery here." The group of reincarnated people followed closely behind him. "Look, this stream. It's so clear, so sweet. This place is heaven on earth, with countless natural sceneries and abundant fruits for you to eat and drink, as long as you join the Beast King realm. Everyone will be able to transform into any animal, whether it's a cute and stupid style or a mighty style. It's up to you. Can you turn back into human form? Of course, you can change it at will. You'll even obtain the corresponding Beast King power in human form." Suddenly, someone couldn't help but ask, "Then, is there anything that we must do? Something that we must do?" The gorilla turned around and pointed at that person. "That's a good question. You must participate in the monthly Grand Carnival." "Whoa, that's great. I want to become a majestic lion and obtain the power of a lion. I want to become a monkey, the kind that pops out of rock. You guys are so boring. I want to become a bird and soar through the sky." Everyone excitedly discussed. Baizhua clapped his hands. The scenery disappeared from their eyes. Another world appeared. On a plaza filled with weapons and armor, a man in armor loudly declared, "Come to the Azura realm. Take a look, take a look, take a look. We'll give you top-grade weapons. You can choose any you like." And the corresponding peerless scriptures. The group of reincarnated people curiously looked around. Someone picked up a flaming battle axe and asked with interest, "Is there a corresponding way to use this weapon?" "Of course." The man stepped forward and took out a few scriptures, handing them over. Someone else asked, "I don't like to use weapons. Is there a way to fight barehanded?" "There is as well." The man casually took out 7 to 8 scriptures. "If you join the Azura realm, every time your strength increases by a rank, you'll receive corresponding scriptures, armor for free, and if you're really outstanding, we'll even give you a super powerful pet. Other than that," the man clapped his hands. The void of space warped as a few women appeared. Everyone gasped in shock. "Did you see that? The women of our Azura race are the most beautiful existences in the entire Samsara. But to win the heart of an Azura woman, you'll first have to defeat her." Baizhua looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan cleared her throat and commented, "That's quite a good slogan." Baizhua clapped his hands, and the Azura world also left. The other worlds are doing the same. In short, all of the Samsara worlds are recruiting people, Baizhua said. "Why are they in such a hurry to recruit people? What's their goal?" Gu Qingshan asked. Baizhua explained, "The more people a world has, the more resources they'll receive from the Divine Mountain, allowing their world to become stronger." Gu Qingshan thought for a bit. and said, "Isn't that a good thing? I can see that every world is doing a good job in recruiting people. So what's the small problem you mentioned?" Baizhua clapped his hands. A new world appeared in front of them. Clouds and mist. Other than clouds, there was fog. Other than fog, there were only clouds. There was nothing else. This place is the Heavenly Palace. Why isn't anyone from the Heavenly Palace here? Saying so, Gu Qingshan looked at the man sitting in the mist. Chan Yuli. This was the human scout who went on a mission with Baizhua, only to die tragically in the tiger's mouth. Chang Yuli stood up and smiled bitterly. "Brother Gu, you might not know this, but the construction of this heavenly palace consumes a lot of the Divine Mountain's resources. The Divine Mountain has spent a lot of effort just to construct these clouds," Baizhua replied. "Among the Samsara, the other 5 worlds are all able to attract reincarnated people, but this heavenly palace is too shabby, with only a few clouds. No one is willing to come." Gu Qingshan looked around and muttered, "Compared to the previous worlds, this is still far from enough," Baizhua sighed. "The less people come, the more impossible it is to complete the heavenly palace." Chang Yuli shook his head. "The more shabby the heavenly palace is, the less people will come, and then it becomes a vicious cycle. So the Divine Mountain wants me to bring more people to the heavenly palace?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's right," the two of them answered at the same time. "There's only a single cloud. That's too hard. Who would want to live in such a world?" Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then rolled up her sleeves. "I'll give it a try. First, let in someone qualified to reincarnate into the heavenly palace." Baizhua took out a jade disc, glanced at it, then said, "There's a human cultivator who sacrificed himself in the battle against the ghosts. He's qualified to reincarnate into either the heavenly palace or the Azura realm. Currently hesitating. Should I let him in first?" "All right," Gu Qingshan replied. Baizhua released a ray of light towards the jade disc. With a hoe, a male cultivator appeared in front of the 3 of them. He looked around and doubtfully asked, "This place is—" Gu Qingshan displayed a solemn expression and stepped forward. "Fellow Tao Seeker, congratulations, congratulate me?" the cultivator asked. Gu Qingshan clasped her hands together and respectfully replied, "Indeed, you were originally the mighty heaven-shaking great emperor of the 33 heavens. But because you were worried about the suffering of the lower realms, you entered the mortal world, went through many trials and tribulations, and finally returned." The cultivator froze. Gu Qingshan continued, "Fellow Tao Seeker, please return to the heaven realm and take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the Samsara. Take charge of the heavenly palace, intimidating the Samsara." The cultivator muttered a few words and looked around. Clouds drifted around the heavenly palace. He sighed and spoke with a bitter voice. "Good, good, good. I, the mighty heaven-shaking great emperor of the 33 heavens, have finally returned to the heaven realm." You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.